Randy McPhail is the 34-year-old general manager who has teamed with Kelly to take them not only to their first winning season since 1979, but all the way to the top of the American League West.
For 27 years, the Berlin Wall had stood as the symbol of the Cold War.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity, come here to this gate. Open this gate. Tear down this wall.
No one knew for sure if the Iron Curtain would fall, but it looked as if new leadership might reshape Europe. New leadership could also be found in the world of baseball, as the Twins were about to have a change of fortune.
We had this feeling that good things were going to happen only because we were led by a great manager in Tom Kelly.
There's a look at the youngest manager in the major leagues, 36-year-old Tom Kelly.
He made all 25 guys in that roster feel good about themselves and their roles, and I think that's why he was as successful as he was.
Being a new manager, I was trying to just do a job and not embarrass myself and keep the ship floating in the right direction.
The Twins were coming off 6 out of 7 losing seasons. But in '87, their homegrown nucleus was starting to mature.
Brunansky, Herbeck, Gaetti, and Puckett.
A lot of big, strong dudes that practice hitting home runs.
Touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett. They had played together in the minor leagues, played together in the major leagues, and looked like they have a chance to mature together as major league players.
On Fan Appreciation Day 1986, I predicted that if the Twins keep this nucleus together and we add a couple elements,
we can bring a World Series to Minnesota.
It's the last time I've ever made a prediction.
But such a prediction only inspired the Twins' 34-year-old general manager.
If you went back and looked at 1986, we lost a load of games where we scored like 8 or more runs. I thought if we addressed the bullpen, we could be markedly better.
Enter Jeff Reardon, former Fireman of the Year with Montreal.
Jeff Reardon has made the biggest difference on this ball.
This game is over. Reardon notches a strong save.
The role that he had on the team being the closer was so vital. We felt like when he came in the game was over, and gave everybody, just a lot of confidence and calm.
Reardon brought bullpen stability to a team that was ready to bust out. With a potent middle of the order, those 4 Twins would hit more homers than any other quartet in baseball.
That's hit deep to right field.
Nothing lifted the Twins more than the Homer Dome.
The Dome leaves a lot of memories, a lot of special, a lot of goofy.
Watch this.
Thunderdome.
The thing that made the Metrodome special, we always included the crowd and the fans with us.
That's 10 for Viola, and the Metrodome is rocking.
These fans were our true 10th player.
It can really get to a fever pitch.
They're like sharks in a feeding frenzy.
This is where we want to be, and that's all you need to know.
The enthusiasm got better and better. They started to believe that we had a chance. Those fellas seemed to get better all at once, and boy, oh boy, they played the hell out of the game.
By late August, the Twins were playing .700 ball inside the Dome, far and away the best home winning percentage in the majors.
Twins are incredible here in Minneapolis.
Twins fans and the Minnesota Twins have always held a special relationship. But it was beginning to exhibit itself more clearly than ever whenever the Twins played at the Dome. Opponents were running into a mess of trouble. In mid-August, the Dome field advantage was more apparent than ever when the Seattle Mariners came for a visit.
They're so hot here that it's unbelievable. I can't believe the difference between the team that we played in Seattle and the team that we're playing here. I mean, last night in the first inning, they looked like sharks. They really did in a pool of blood.
And that ball is hit deep to right field. Kingery going back to the track, to the wall. Fly away. They're like sharks in a feeding frenzy.
We like playing there. Just home sweet Dome.
Home sweet Dome indeed. Twins fans were becoming rampant.
52 tickets. Can I get 52 brand 52 tickets?
Pennant fever was in the air. The thrill of victory was everywhere. And of course, the Seattle Mariners paid the price.
Brunansky belts the ball deep to left field. Phil Bradley goes to the wall, high away. Twins are incredible here in Minneapolis.
The fever was catching on all over the Twin Cities with no exception and with clear reception.
And it would go Twins go. Go Twins go. Go Twins go. Go Twins go! Go Twins!
And the Twins responded to the support with the results that reflected an undying appreciation from the players themselves.
That was one of the biggest reasons we're so good at home is the fans really come out to the ballpark. They really support the team, and the guys want to go out there and play for the fans as much as they do for themselves.
Fastball popped up. This should do it. Newman, the shortstop, calling. Makes a short two-handed catch, and the Mariners are swept in this 4-game series in Minnesota.
The Twins were becoming unbeatable at home, and the rest of the league knew it. But what was Minnesota's secret dome field advantage? And who or what mysterious force was responsible for the Twins' dizzying success there?
I think the reason that we play so well at home is before every big game, upon entering the stadium, our fans are given instructions to take a deep breath while we're hitting and hold it. Therefore, it makes the air less dense and the ball travels a lot better.
The reason why we play so well in the dome is because we turn the fans on when we hit for home runs and blow them in when the other team's hitting.
The reason why the Minnesota Twins win so much at home is because, like Dorothy said from Wizard of Oz, there's no place like Dome. There's no place like Dome.
Or maybe the Dome Dwarf himself has something to do with it. Legend has it that the Dwarf mystically redirects fly balls from opponents' mitts. Well, losing clubs always seem to concoct painful excuses for their own misfortunes. But one logical reason for Minnesota's magical record at the Dome might stem from the ear-splitting noise that the fans create, equivalent to that of a jetliner, prompting some less than casual observers to rename the Metrodome entirely.
Thunderdome.
Kirby Puckett should know he caused much of the Dome's thunder with his booming bat. And on August 29th, Kirby took his thundering bat to Milwaukee, where he put together one of the most remarkable two-day stretches in baseball history, tying an American League record with 10 hits in 11 at-bats.
Way back. Touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett. 3-0 Twins lead. Oh, did he smoke that one?
Tom Trebelhorn saw Kirby collect 4 hits in 5 at-bats.
Hey, Kirby's got another one. Way back. Touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett.
Next day I come back to Sunday and I feel great. I remember telling the guys, I feel great today again, guys. Something's going to happen.
In the first, Kirby singled. In the third, he hit a home run, 2 for 2. In the fifth, he singled again, 3 hits. In the sixth, Kirby doubled, 4 for 4. Then he even saved a grand slam with a defensive gem.
Oh, boy. Caught by Kirby. What a grab.
In the eighth, he collected his 5th hit, 5 for 5. Good enough for mere mortals, but not Kirby. In the ninth.
Way back. Oh, touch 'em all, Kirby Puckett. What a game.
6 for 6.
It's a day that I'll never forget. I mean, everything I hit just seemed to fall in. Didn't matter where I hit it, it just seemed to fall in. And we won, so that was important, too. That was the most important thing.
Kirby Puckett's performance put the Twins back in first place, and this time they were determined to stay there for good. The high-flying Twins were believing that the force was with them, the force of fan support. And against Cleveland, the force of their bats.
There she goes. Back, and touch 'em all, Tom Brunansky. Gagne swings, base hit to left. Here's Gladden, green-lighted. He'll try to score. There'll be a play. He's safe at home. Bush swings and lines one to deep right. Way back. Touch 'em all, Randy Bush.
After a 3-game sweep of Cleveland, the magic number had been reduced to 10 as Minnesota played host to the Rangers. A combination of Oakland losses and Twins wins caused the magic number countdown to continue.
Into center field. Bauer coming high. Gets by him. He should go all the way around. And inside the park, home run for Greg Gagne, and the Twins lead 4-0.
Fletcher is down. That's 10 for Viola. And the Metrodome is rocking. The magic number is 6. It looks to be going down some more tonight.
The magic number is 5.
The countdown still continued. And as they faced Kansas City, the Twins had the opportunity to clinch a tie.
The fans were cheering and applauding and everything before the game even started. And I know the guys' hearts were beating fast, and Gary Gaetti said, let's go, guys. Come on, let's do it. We're going to do it today.
Puckett drives it to center. Wilson going back. It's deep. It's deep. It's gone. Gaetti tries one to deep center. Wilson going back. And this one is gone.
Very similar to Puckett's. Way back. And gone. Football press box.
3 first-inning home runs, and Bert Blyleven's masterful pitching reduced the magic number to 1.
The Twins have a share of the American League West title.
And saying thanks just isn't enough. We're going to bring the flag home with us. Thank you.
Only one thing remained between the Twins and the Western Division title, the Texas Rangers. At Arlington Stadium, the air was thick with anticipation. Kelly's heroes were gunning for the clinch, and the man called on to pitch in the pinch, Joe Niekro.
Smash, double play, just like that. Lombardozzi. Ansky, big lead at first. And a drive, hit into deep left field. Way back, and it is gone, a home run. Steve Lombardozzi has just tied the game for the Twins with a 3-run blast here in the 4th inning.
Jeff Russell to Steve Lombardozzi in a 1-1 delivery. Twins lead 4-3. Lombardozzi delivers with a clutch base hit to right. Oh, my, what a night.
And the Twins were finally on the very verge of clinching the pennant. With the clinch a cinch, team owner Carl Pohlad watched at home. The air was still thick with tension and anticipation when Jeff Reardon was called on to terminate the situation.
Dow with his lead. Herbeck plays behind him, and a little fly ball to the second baseman. Lombardozzi, the throw to first. They got it! The Twins win the championship.
A happy and victorious moment for Mr. and Mrs. Pohlad.
Come on, Daddy.
And for the players, a jubilant victory celebration that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, we had all kinds of stars in the game, but we had some fun. We had some fun out there, and it was great that we could end it this way.
We wanted to do it so we could trash their field.
But it wasn't one man carrying the whole load. Everybody did their share, and it was everybody contributing either the day or the day after. And it wasn't the same players. And we're a team. We're playing as a team, and that's the way to win.
All we can do is now just win the league championship series and go to the World Series and win, and then my lifelong dream will be fulfilled.
It's a perfect day. It's a perfect setting. It could turn out to be a perfect afternoon for the Tigers. Tigers and Blue Jays have played 161 games. The Tigers have a 1-game lead going into what could be the finale of the regular season.
From mid-July, the Blue Jays and Tigers were locked in a heated pennant race. Considering how the Tigers had fared early in the season, it was a miracle they were in contention at all.
At the time, we'd been throttled pretty good by Baltimore, Milwaukee, New York, Boston.
Greenwell long to the opposite field. It is off into the stands.
We had taken the wrong end of the stick for a while.
The Tigers are turned away.
4 months earlier, the Tigers had been languishing near the bottom of the AL East, while Toronto was battling the Yankees for first place. The Blue Jays were blessed with the pitching of Dave Steve, Jim Clancy, and Jimmy Key, and the power of George Bell.
goodbye.
Every time he hit the ball was hard. Every time he hit the ball, somebody was scoring.
Bell was in the midst of an MVP season that would produce 47 homers and 134 RBIs. He was also part of the game's premier outfield that included Lloyd Mosby and defensive standout Jesse Barfield.
The throw to second.
We knew we had a good team. Pitching staff was strong. We had some really good players in the field, good hitters and stuff, and we knew we had a chance if we could stay healthy. We were going to be there at the end.
The Tigers, meanwhile, finally woke up, and by the start of the summer, they hit their stride.
That's deep to right field. Put it on the board. Home run for Lou Whitaker, and the Tigers win it 5-4.
By mid-August, the Tigers were back in form and contending for first place with the Blue Jays and the Yankees.
Get it. Whoa, 3-run home run.
They were a very, very dangerous team. It starts really with the middle part of their infield. Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, you know, they were a dynamic duo in the middle part of that infield.
Nice play by Tram. They get one to throw to first. Double play, and the ball game is over.
And they had a good combination of guys who could knock the ball. The ballpark.
It could be. It is gone.
While the Tigers were blasting their way to a major league leading 225 homers, they were getting solid pitching from a staff led by workhorse Jack Morris.
When you played against him, you hated him. You wanted to beat him so bad. But then when you played on his team, you loved him.
Got him swinging, strike 3.
Because he went out there and said, hey, guys, we're winning this game.
Just when the league thought Detroit's pitching couldn't get any better, the Tigers made a late-season trade for the Braves' Doyle Alexander, who had an immediate impact.
Struck him out.
To get Doyle Alexander, they had to give up a minor league pitcher who had been a top draft pick for them from Detroit. His name was John Smoltz.
Still, the Tigers had gained a bona fide arm for the stretch drive.
Strike 3.
As Alexander went 9-0, and Detroit stayed neck and neck with the Blue Jays. In late September, a half game out of first, the Tigers went to Toronto for a weekend showdown.
TSN presents Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. It's the first game of a 4-game series between the Tigers and the Blue Jays.
I tell you, they're exciting games to be in.
Hit down to Liriano, could be 2. They've got to hurry. Gibson's speed gets him there.
Liriano and Fernandez have really turned the double play well, and Madlock got on top of Fernandez down at second base. Watch Madlock coming hard in here. Stays right on Fernandez, and he rolls.
A roadblock, if ever there was one.
That's good old-fashioned baseball. You don't see that very often. Madlock could get to second base. There's really nothing wrong with that. As long as you can reach the bag. Tony's saying that he was way outside, but he wasn't that far away. Madlock, he's played his days in the National League, and they play a little bit different style of baseball over there.
First of all, I don't know why it's such a big deal. I guess if it won this time of the season, wasn't the two teams playing. I mean, this is the way I played all the time. The guys in the National League know I come in, you know, to try to keep them from getting out. We end up scoring 2 runs. The main thing about that slide was to get us an extra out, and the extra out got us 2 runs. It wasn't a slide that hurt him. It was the wood around second base that did it. It came down on his elbow on that, and I had nothing to do with that.
Now the crowd is standing. They want to see Hanky strike out Gibson. And if he does, the Blue Jays will lead by a game and a half. He gets it. The Jays win it 4-3. And what a ball game this was tonight. A game and a half lead now for the Blue Jays over the Detroit Tigers.
There's the 2-0 pitch. Ground ball right side. Loose, headed for home. He gets through. It got away, and Toronto wins.
Matt Noakes at the plate. And he lifts one to deep right field. Back goes Barfield on the track, and it is gone. Home run, Detroit. So the Tigers in this series led 2-0 Thursday night and lost 4-3. They led 2-0 last night and lost 3-2, and they lead 3-0 in the first inning today. Steve has allowed 16 home runs. Fastball and a high drive into deep right. The wind's got it. It is a grand slam home run. Bottom of the ninth inning. 9-7 Detroit. With Jesse Barfield, Willie Upshaw, and Rick Leach due up in that order. Little pop fly, and it might be trouble. It is going to be in there for a hit, and Barfield into second base. So Barfield at second, nobody out in the ninth inning. Lemon unable to get to it, and Upshaw, Leach, and Lee due out. Squirted up along third, charging Brookins. No play except for the shortstop, no good. He tried to get it to Trammell to get Barfield coming over. And the tying runs are aboard with nobody out. And did it hit him? No sign from the plate umpire. They're going to argue the ball hit him. They'll check that ball. And Ken Kaiser is waving, saying, give him to first. He's going to get first base, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. It hit him all right. You could really see it hit him on the front leg, and McClellan was screened. Look at Kaiser. Kaiser calls time and says, go ahead. Lou Thornton will now come off the bench and run for Leach. Juan Benitez will come up and hit for Manny Lee, and Sparky is going to bring in Dickie Knowles. Line drive, base hit. In comes Barfield. It's going to the wall. In comes Upshaw. Here comes Thornton to win it. Here it is again. The line drive up the alley. When it hit the rug in left center, it had gone to the wall. And all three scored. Barfield and Upshaw to tie it up. And Thornton, the pinch runner, to win it on the double by Juan Benitez.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Toronto. I'm George Kell, along with Al Kaline. We're ready with the fourth and final game of this big weekend series, and you might say it's do or die for the Tigers here today. I tell you, whatever happens here on this day, Doyle Alexander has pitched himself proud again.
Second baseman, number 2.
He has been outstanding, and you mentioned where would the Tigers be without Doyle Alexander. Just a fantastic performance. 8-0 coming into this game, and this game is almost like a win for him to so far just allow the Toronto Blue Jays only one run.
Liriano is the batter, and a fly ball into center. Chet Lemon backing up a step or two, and out number 2 in the 8th inning. 2 outs, nobody on, and the batter is Mosby. And he hits a line drive, and a great play by Will Wander. Oh, it was headed for the corner and extra bases. And Will Wander with a whale of a play. 1-0 Toronto. One ball, one strike.
Well, you know what Gibby's trying to do, trying to launch one over the right field, center field fence. He pulled off that pitch with his head, but he's trying for the home run.
And a long ball. It's gone. A tie ball game here in the ninth. Oh, Gibson has tied it up with a tremendous blast. Kid looks like he should be in high school.
Or just graduated.
Ball 3, strike 2. And the payoff pitch to Evans. Here's a long drive into deep right center field. This ball's well hit. And gone. A home run for Darrell Evans. Darrell Evans has just hit one out of here.
He ought to say thanks to the home plate umpire for calling that his last pitch a strike on him. That gave him a chance to swing the bat. Number 33 for the old pro, who keeps getting better with age, it looks like.
Ball 3, strike 2 to Ernie Whitt. And they are on go here in Toronto. Doyle Alexander getting the sign, and here's the pitch. He walked it. Base on balls to Whitt, puts them at first and second. And the batter is Jesse Barfield. And a base hit.
Question about this one. This ball was hit hard right in the hole between short and third.
Two on and one out in the 13th inning. And the pitch to Gibson. Fly ball into shallow center field. It could be trouble. It's going to fall in. And over his head. Whale Wonder coming in to throw to the plate. And save. Save at the plate. Good bit of running by Whale Wonder.
It was. He didn't know whether the ball was going to drop in. A good bit of backing up the center fielder. The ball is hit right on the handle here. The ball is over his head. Manny Lee somehow is able to throw a terrific throw to home plate. Whitt tries to block home plate.
Well, the scoreboard asking the people to make noise, and they are. Here's the one strike pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. He'll go to second and out at second base. Oh, it was close, and out at second, and the Tigers win it. Dickie Knowles comes on in relief here in the 13th inning. He gets Barfield to bounce it down to second. The final score of the game, the Tigers 3, Toronto 2 in 13 innings.
It's a cool, crisp autumn afternoon here at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Little chance of rain, but the wind is gusting. Temperature just prior to game time in the low 50s. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jimmy Cefalo. Marv Albert has the day off, but he'll join you once again Tuesday evening for the beginning of the National League Championship Series in St. Louis. Well, the AL East race is 160 games old, and a champion is yet to be crowned. The Toronto Blue Jays and Detroit Tigers tied atop the division. This one will go down to the final game of the season, maybe even and beyond. If the team split the final 2 days of the year, there'll be a one-game playoff at Tiger Stadium here on Monday afternoon. This afternoon, the Toronto Blue Jays will try to stop a 5-game losing streak by sending Mike Flanagan to the mound. The Tigers will counter with Jack Morris. Just less than a week ago, Toronto led the Tigers by 3.5 games, but Detroit has taken a week-long surge, culminating with a 4-3 win last night. The Tigers trailed the Blue Jays by 1 full game going into the contest, and Toronto got off to a big start. Manny Lee, subbing for the injured Tony Fernandez, hit a 3-run homer in the second to give the Blue Jays a 3-0 lead. But rookie Scott Lusader brings the Tigers back with a 2-run shot, his first Major League home run, cutting the Blue Jay lead to 1. Alan Trammell opened the third with a solo blast, his 28th of the season, and the score was tied at 3. Later, Darrell Evans scored on a double play, which proved to be the winning run, but defense kept the Tigers ahead. Detroit turned 5 double plays, and rookie right fielder Scott Lusader, with a Cinderella night, made this diving catch. Doyle Alexander won his 9th game without a loss since coming to Detroit, getting relief help from Mike Henneman, who notched his 7th save. The Blue Jays have now lost 5 consecutive games, and there's a tie in the AL East.
Corn from the belt. Ball 1 outside. Wrapped to short and through Manny Lee's legs. That's it. The Tigers take a 1-game lead to the regular season's final day. And just as the game has its glory and its excitement, it has its cruel aspects as well. And Manny Lee can tell you about that. He made 2 errors today, and that was just the ball they wanted. Not only could they have gotten the force at the plate, they might have been able to go 6-2-3 for a double play as sharply as that was hit, and right at Lee.
In between hop, doesn't stay down. The tall grass catches it right through the wickets.
ABC Sports, the network of the 1987 World Series, on this final day of the regular season, presents Sunday afternoon baseball, the big one in the American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Detroit Tigers. On Friday night, Doyle Alexander pitched the Tigers to a win, and the 2 teams were tied for first. Then yesterday in the 12th inning, Alan Trammell grounded one through Manny Lee's legs to put the Tigers in first. They can clinch the East today. Sparky, because you do have a certain amount of leeway, you can't afford a loss. Will you manage this game any differently today than you would if this was the one game that determined the championship?
No, Al, you know me. You were with me long enough. I'll only manage the baseball game that's here today. I'm not smart enough. I always kid Gibson. I said, you know, when you got a 27 IQ, it's pretty hard to operate. I only know how to manage the game that's at hand, and all that other stuff to me is I call eyewash.
Your club obviously needing a victory today and in a tailspin right now. Will you say anything differently before the game? Will there be a clubhouse meeting today?
I'm not big on clubhouse meetings. I don't think we need that type of a meeting today to get up for this game. They faced Tanana enough times to know how he pitches to them, and I just, you know, let's relax, go out and play and have fun and let the chips fall where we're going to fall.
Joined now by Jim Palmer. You don't have to be an amateur psychiatrist or psychologist to tell the difference between those two guys. Sparky is loose. He can afford a loss. Jimmy Williams, you can read his face. He knows he has to win. But the one thing the Blue Jays have going for them today is the better pitcher.
Well, it is. Jimmy Key is one of the outstanding pitchers in the American League. He's trying to get some more votes for Cy Young, leading league in ERA. And if there's ever a great, like a dress rehearsal, Al, for a big game, it was watching Mike Flanagan. Yesterday, Mike Flanagan pitched 11 innings, 9 only 8 hits, 9 strikeouts. So he knows what he has to do, and he's capable of doing that. On the other hand, we have Frank Tanana. Tremendous success against the Blue Jay because his strength, which is changing speeds, getting the hitters out with curveballs and changeups, is the Toronto's weakness, and that has been their weakness in the 6-game losing streak. They have scored 16 runs in 6 games. So for them to win today, Key has to pitch well, but they have to put some runs on the scoreboard, and if they do, they'll take this crowd right out of the game.
Pitchers should have the advantage early, in as much as the game will be played with a shadow line extending out toward right field for the first hour and a half. Bell whacks it into left field for a base hit. Liriano will stop at second as Gibson gets it into Trammell. So George Bell going after Tanana's first pitch as the game's first hit. Toronto has runners at first and second with 1 out. Benitez had been with Kansas City and then came over in the summer. Half-bat Will Trammell. He spent his whole career in the American League, and this is his 8th team. And he goes down on strikes. Jesse Barfield now. It was a chopper toward Whitaker, who one-hops it, throws, and gets it. Had to avoid Bell in the process. At the end of the half, Jays nothing. Tigers coming up. Larry Herndon, who had a big postseason in '84, looks at a strike. And the count 1-1. Herndon, in fact, hit a home run that was the game-winning blow in the first game of the '84 World Series. Larry, for the most part, down the stretch, platooning in right field with Scott Lusader. 2-1.
It's just another one of Sparky's amazing stories. Scott Lusader, Pat Sheridan plays just about on a platoon basis with Herndon all year long, and you bring up a guy from the minors.
Drive to left field. Bell is going back and still going back, and it's gone. Number 9 for Larry Herndon, 1-0 Detroit.
9th home run of the year. Tries to get the ball in, gets it in a little bit, and Herndon's a low ball hitter, yet if you look at the configurations, as you look at Bell going back, the power alleys are very short here in Detroit. One of those balls, if you can jump up on the ledge, and I've seen it done, you have a chance to catch that ball, but fighting the sun, that's a tough play.
To right field, Herndon fighting the sun, goes back, and it's off the wall and caroming back toward the infield. And Lee can run around second, on his way to third, and in there. And now Orge, who struck out in the second.
Being at third does change the complexion a little bit, takes away the curveball, but it doesn't matter.
And he pops it in the air to shallow left center field for Chet Lemon. No runs, 2 hits, strand a man at third after 3.5. Still 1-0 Tigers. Tying run at first base. 2 out. We're in the 7th inning. 1-0 Detroit. That's hit into left field for a base hit. Gibson will cut it off near the line and hold Orge at second. Tiger bullpen will get busy, and Dickie Knowles is one of those who gets up. Liriano, the switch-hitting second baseman. It's a chopper foul, and the count is 0-1. 2-1 is grounded to short. Trammell to Whitaker. Tanana works out of it. No runs, 1 hit, and the frustrated Blue Jays leave 2 more. They've stranded 7. And Evans has gone on strikes. I can't imagine that Jimmy Key has pitched more than a handful of better games in his career than today. But will this ever be sour if they don't score in the 9th? And Morrison goes down swinging. 7 strikeouts for Jimmy Key. 2 gone. And here's Heath. Heath is down on strikes, and Jimmy Key pitches a masterpiece. But what does it all mean? To the ninth, 1-0 Tigers. Strike. Chopper to Morrison. Scooped by Evans. Two down, Orge is the batter.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Thank you very much.
Share your thoughts right now with us.
Well, you know, my thoughts right now is that I'm so very thankful. First of all, I'd like to give the praise and all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I'm just so excited for, you know, not only myself, but all the guys that I played with. We've just battled all year long and have played great ball and got contributions from really the whole team.
What sort of feeling did you have as you came to the ballpark today?
Well, I'll tell you, right after church, it was just the feeling that I knew what I wanted to do. I've had good success against Toronto, and it was just a matter of, I think the twilight helped. It had a pretty good sinker screwball.
Well, the Tigers won it by a score of 1-0, and then it's on to the playoffs. And has Sparky indicated to you, final question, Frank, which game you would pitch in the playoffs?
Ha! No. We were probably, he was worried about today, knew who was going to throw tomorrow, and I think he'll just sit down and work out that in the near future.
But we might be looking at you in game 4 the way it looks right now.
Well, just give me the ball. I go when he tells me, Frank, it's your turn.
Frank,
I think you're liable to get it, too.
Excuse me, Al. Frank, I've seen you pitch 2 times. You pitched a Monday night game. You shut him out 3-0. One today, 1-0. You're on your own in the playoffs because we don't do the.
Well,
you won't say us till the World Series.
I'll tell you what, if you're not busy, I'll just fly you in, Jim.
Okay.
Frank, congratulations.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Now stay tuned for the American League Championship Series next on NBC.
The tradition is here. The memories are waiting. Next.
Minnesota Twins called Metropolitan Stadium home, and there were some superb seasons at the Met, sparked by the power of Hall of Famer Harmon Killebrew. The Twins made it to the World Series in 1965 and to the playoffs in 1969 and 1970. For the last 6 years, the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome, affectionately known as the Homer Dome, has been home field for the Twins, and a capacity crowd of 55,000 is on hand for the Twins' first appearance in postseason play in some 17 years. Tonight, Game 1 between the Minnesota Twins and the Detroit Tigers. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, and welcome to the start of our prime-time playoff coverage. A little bit later on, Bob Costas and Tony Kubek will be on hand to bring you the play-by-play. It will be 37-year-old Doyle Alexander for the Tigers. He has been perfect since coming over from Atlanta with a record of 9-0. And for the Twins, the left-hander, 17-game winner, Frank Viola. Now, this afternoon, many of you saw the first part of our baseball doubleheader here on NBC, a game that had the Giants blanking the Cardinals 5-0 to even up the series at 1-1. Bill McAtee has this report.
Well, it was the Giants who got out quickly today as John Tudor ran a fastball inside on Will Clark in the second, and Clark responded with his 2-run home run. The Giants led it 2-0. That would stand up, but in the fourth, Jeffrey Leonard, who had a home run last night, comes right back into almost the exact same spot. Hits his second home run of the series, a solo shot. Meanwhile, the Cardinals' troubles were illustrated by this rare error by the game's best defensive shortstop, Ozzie Smith, in the eighth. Dravecky goes the distance, a 2-hit shutout, and the Giants go back to Candlestick with the series even at 1. Enjoy the game tonight. Back tomorrow.
Thanks, Bill. And while the Cardinals and the Giants are already 2 games into their playoff series, manager Tom Kelly of Minnesota and manager Sparky Anderson of Detroit are getting set for Game 1. Now, Tom, at 37, is the youngest manager in the Major Leagues. Are there butterflies concerning tonight?
Oh, I can't lie, Marv. Definitely, I'm a little bit nervous. I was nervous as early as 10 o'clock this morning and got to the ballpark, I guess, 9:30 or so. So we visited the bathroom twice already, so I guess I'm nervous.
Very, very nice. Sparky can certainly relate to that, I guess.
I can. I'm just like Tommy. They tell me, they say after you've been in a few times, you don't get nervous. I was telling Tom, if you don't get nervous at this, you don't belong in the game.
Now, the Twins concluded the season by losing their last 5 games. Not the way you want to come into tonight. Is that a concern?
No, Marv, not at all. My guys are ready. We played a lot of different people the last week of the season. We rearranged our pitching. We got some people some work that needed it. They're going to be on our roster out of the bullpen. And we just changed a lot of different things around and put some people at different positions. And subsequently lost some ball games. But the guys are ready to play. We had 2 good workout days, and they're enthusiastic. And I believe we're going to put on a good show.
On the other hand, the Tigers finished in spectacular fashion. But are you worried about a letdown?
No, we'll have no letdown. I said it before it starts. If Minnesota beats us, they're going to beat the best team in the American League because that's what we've been all year. And if they beat us, they deserve to beat us. But if we beat them, then we deserve to win, too.
Any managerial advice from the veteran to the rookie MGR?
I do like I do. I keep my feet out of the runway so I don't trip nobody. And I've always said this is a player's game, and I'm not going to have much to do with it.
Okay, and Tom is writing that down right now. Okay, Sparky Anderson and Tom Kelly will be back with a look at the mysteries of the Metrodome in just a moment. The Twin Cities, we are at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, which has not been a favorite ballpark for the opposition. In fact, to visiting teams, the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome is a sinister edifice. The primary cause of such trepidation is Minnesota's record at home this season. 56 up, 25 down. Opponents have even turned to the bizarre in search of a reason for the Twins' dominance at home.
I know they have better cuts at curveballs that are pretty good curveballs at home than they do on the road, which leads me to one thing. Maybe they're getting the signs.
Some people also believe that the Twins hitters might be getting the signals from the center field cameraman or some accomplice that might be out there helping him.
But that center field area is always packed, and they all seem to have good cuts at home and not on the road, and the record indicates they play well. I think they're getting the signs somewhere.
The next item would be the air conditioning system in the Metrodome. A lot of teams theorize that the air conditioning can be turned on and off to the Twins' liking, which would govern the flight of the baseball, meaning that the ball could carry a lot farther or could not carry at all. A lot of people think that the lights in the Metrodome in the outfield are far below standards. It seems to me that there's at least one questionable ball hit every game into, let's call it the Metrodome Triangle, where it's completely lost. But a visiting team playing 6 games there during the course of a season really has trouble following the flight of the ball in the dome.
For their part, the Twins perpetuate the aura of their home field advantage at every opportunity.
The reason why we play so well in the dome is because we turn the fans on when we hit for home runs and blow them in when the other team's hitting.
Well, I guess things can be on the humorous side when you're 56-25 at home. Throughout our coverage of this American League Championship Series, we are delighted to be joined by Don Sutton of the California Angels, a man who has won 321 games, a future Hall of Famer, a man who says he doesn't mind at all pitching here at the Metrodome. But, Don, how do you react to the charges that have been made about this ballpark?
Well, I think it's kind of stupid to think you could recycle the air conditioning, but as far as being familiar with all the conditions, it has to help playing 81 games here.
What about stealing signs? Does it matter if they are successfully being stolen? Can a club put them to good use?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind they would try that. From the monitor, I don't know. From the center field camera, I don't know. 1982 and 1983 with the Milwaukee Brewers, we had every catcher's sign, and we scored a lot of runs. We didn't always win, but we had some good cuts.
On the other hand, can this be merely a psychological edge, even if things aren't being done, that opposition clubs can be bothered by it?
Oh, definitely. Ball clubs have personalities just like people, and I think that the environment plays a big role in that. If you're a home team and you think that you have an advantage, it's like starting the game ahead 2-0. If you're a visiting club and you think that you have an uphill climb, it's going to be tough to overcome that. I've come in here with 3 different ball clubs, and on 2 of them, I've had players come up on the flight in and say, hey, I don't know how you've done here before, but we don't win, so don't expect too much.
And you can certainly relate to creating one's own environment out on the mound with folks who feel he might be doing a little something with the baseball. That could be psychological.
I only carry pictures of my kids. You know that.
I buy it now.
Perfect.
We'll be back with the wild and the wacky involving the Tigers and the Twins. Minneapolis, where we are closing in on game time. Now, last night, prior to the start of the Giant Cardinal series, we showed you the wild and the wacky involving both National League playoff teams. Well, our crack staff has been working overtime, not getting much for it, but they are a happy group. And they have put together the lighter moments, what we call the Albert Achievement Awards, focusing on both the Tigers and the Twins. And we open with the Tigers, Jack Morris, and one of the wilder pitches of the season. How about relief man Willie Hernandez, not pleased with his outing and doesn't hold back his emotions. Here's George Bell with the pop foul. Here comes Tom Brookins. But it's Mike Heath moving into your picture, and it's Heath able to hang on. Not the case here. Chet Lemon with a problem losing it in the lights. And last week, the photographers who are allowed on the field in Detroit are sent every which way. The Minnesota Twins also had their share of adventures. During a pregame TV interview, an unsuspecting Joe Niekro takes an errant throw off the shoulder. Then in one of the most celebrated moments of the season, Joe Niekro in the spotlight for an equipment check that produced strong Emery board evidence. Off the fly to center, Kirby Puckett able to successfully fend off the Seagulls in Toronto. First baseman Ken Herbeck not able to fend off this bouncer. And Tom Brunansky, the victim of the most unique hit-by-pitch of the year, takes it in the armpit and takes it well. So much for the wild and the wacky. And for the Twins and the Tigers, there was nothing at all wacky about their run to their division titles. Capped off by these memorable moments.
Herbeck plays behind him, and a little fly ball to the second baseman. Robert Rogers throw to first. They got it! The Twins win the championship. Twins win 5-3. Tapper could be the ball game. Tanana, Evans, Tigers, champions.
Tigers and the Twins vie for the American League pennant in Game 1 of their best of 7. For the introduction of the lineups, let's go to Minnesota Public Address announcer Bob Casey.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening, and welcome to the Hubert Horatio Humphrey Metrodome and the first game of the American League Championship Series. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the Detroit Tigers starting lineup for Game 1. The only manager with 100-win seasons and world championships in both leagues. Number 11, manager Sparky Anderson. A 10-year veteran who gets better with age. Number 1, second baseman Lou Whitaker. A 4-time National League batting champion. Number 7, designated hitter Bill Matlock. Gifted with great speed and power, number 23, left fielder Kirk Gibson. The odds-on favorite to be the American League's MVP, number 3, shortstop Alan Trammell. He posted the highest batting average of his career in 1987, number 31, right fielder Larry Herndon. One of the premier center fielders in the game for 12 seasons, number 34, center fielder Chet Lemon. Baseball's first 30-homer hitter at the age of 40, number 41, first baseman Darrell Evans. A solid 9-year veteran of the Detroit Tigers, number 16, third baseman Tom Brookins. A great throwing arm and a competitive, spirited player, number 8, catcher Mike Heath. And warming up in the bullpen, one of the great comeback stories of many years, number 19, pitcher Doyle Alexander. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome tonight's starters for our Western Division champion, Minnesota Twins. The man who played a major role in the Twins' first divisional championship in 17 years, number 10, manager Tom Kelly. A spark plug from the old school, number 32, left fielder Dan Gladden. Just possibly the league's most improved player, number 7, shortstop Greg Gagne. The complete player, baseball's home run robber, number 34, center fielder Curry Cricket. One of the game's great offensive and defensive players, number 14, first baseman Kent Hrbek. Third base and then terror in the clutch. Number 8, third baseman Gary Gaetti. Coming off a great second half, number 25, designated hitter Randy Bush. One of the Twins' 3 30-home run hitters, number 24, right fielder Tom Brunetsky. Number 4, second baseman Steve Labadozzi. A hometown favorite with outstanding power, number 15, catcher Tim Laudner. And warming up in the bullpen, the winningest left-hander in baseball in the last 4 years, number 16, pitcher Frank Viola.
A cool, clear October night in the Twin Cities. Temperatures in the high 40s as game time approaches. But, of course, that's outside. Inside, in the controlled conditions of the Metrodome, the Twins have thrived. The best home record in all of baseball. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas, along with Tony Kubek. Welcome to this best-of-7 battle for a ticket to the World Series. Now, when you talk about the surprising Twins and their great home record, there's a flip side to that story. Yes, they were best at home of all 26 teams in the majors, but they also had the worst road record of any division or pennant winner in the history of baseball. 4 of the 7 games in this series, if it goes that far, would be at the Metrodome. So in theory, they could make it to the World Series without ever winning a game on the road. To keep the home field advantage, they need a good game tonight from left-hander Frank Viola. He was 17-10. He's opposed by Doyle Alexander, an absolute godsend for the Tigers. They got him down the stretch from Atlanta. They won all 11 games he pitched. His record, 9-0. Now, when you think of the Twins, you think immediately of a 5'8" keg of dynamite named Kirby Puckett. Here he is with Tony.
All right, Bob, thank you. Kirby, is there any way to explain the dominance that the Twins have had in this ballpark and the futility on the road?
I really can't explain it, Tony. I don't know. We just feel that when we're home, you know, nobody can beat us. Regardless if we're down 5 runs or 7 runs or 8 runs, we feel that as long as we get that last at bat, we've got a chance, and that's what we try to do.
Anything to do with the hitting conditions or the fielding conditions?
Well, I'm sure they're much better than Detroit. That's what we want it to be, but everybody complains about the Dome, but I think about this time of year, it's the best place to be.
You are severe underdogs to the Detroit Tigers. Is that a familiar feeling for you?
Well, yeah. Throughout my career, I've always been underdog, you know, because of my size. Guy says you ain't going to do this, you ain't going to do that, but I just proved them wrong. Just went out and just let my ability to just take over, and that's the way I'm playing about it this series. Just go out and play the way I played all season, and hopefully it'll be good enough.
Tom Kelly, your manager, seems to be very loose before this league championship series with the Tigers, and your whole team seems to be that way.
Well, we're underdogs. I mean, underdogs aren't supposed to be tight. The pressure's all on Detroit, so we're just going to go out every day and in this series and hopefully pull it out for you, Tony.
Kirby, do you feel that teams come in here and they get a little frightened of this Dome because of the conditions?
Well, I think so, because it's been some crucial plays since I've been here, since 1984, that guys have missed pop-ups, and, you know, little things happen. And I think guys are a little weary of that. They come in, they go, oh, man, hope the balls will come to me. I know the outfielders are going, don't hit it to me, don't hit it to me. But I think teams are really weary of coming in here, though.
How can you win this thing?
I really don't know. I think that if we play the way we've been playing, I think we'll be okay.
Kirby, our thanks to you. Good luck.
All right.
Quite a thrill for you. The fans are looking forward to seeing you in the Minnesota Twins all over the country.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
We'll be back after these messages.
Frank Viola, at age 27, a native of Long Island, set to go to work, pitched at St. John's. In the last 4 seasons, he's won 18, 18, 16, and then this year's 17. That 2.90 ERA, second in the American League, behind Jimmy Key's 2.76 for Toronto. Whitaker to start it. Breaking ball wrapped down to first. Herbeck alone, 1 out. Now it'll be Madlock, a key man for Sparky Anderson. Against left-handers this year, the Tigers are just 2 over 500. They're 71-39 against right-handers, so they don't have that much strong right-handed hitting. They got Madlock and Morrison after the start of the season to bolster themselves in that area. Fastball foul back.
And remember that Madlock has gotten those 50 RBIs in just over 70 ball games, so he's been a big plus from the right side. Viola, perhaps, next to Mark Langston of Seattle, has the best raw stuff among any left-hander in the American League, including Higuera, Key, Lee Brandt, and even Bruce Hurst.
He's ahead of the 4-time batting champion, 0-2. And it dips low. The plate up is Joe Brinkman. Durwood Merrill at first. Drew Coble at second. Al Clark at third. Right field line manned by Jim McKean. Left field line Mike Riley. The 1-2. Inside 2-2.
And you can see how hard Viola is capable of throwing. In the 90s at times, has come up with a great circle change similar to what Doyle Alexander throws, and will use it many times deep in the count, even 3-1 and 3-2.
And now it's full.
He is throwing hard.
And, of course, if he's humming like that with the fastball, it'll make the great straight change all the more effective.
Has a good curve. Sometimes he has trouble with it getting over the plate. And he can come out throwing as hard as he can now because they've got Reardon at the end, which is a plus for this team.
He got him. Two out, nobody on, top half of the first. And here's the MVP of the '84 League Championship Series, Kirk Gibson. He had .417 in a 3-game sweep of Kansas City. Then went on to hit .333 against the Padres in the World Series with 2 homers.
Kirk Gibson appears, Bob, since that 3-game series in Detroit, like he's moved off the plate against left-handed pitchers. He wasn't that far off the plate. He's maybe going to go into the ball and hit the ball straight away or to left field off Viola, or at least try to. I don't know why he'd want to do that, though, with that short porch in right field here.
Got in on him and blew it past him.
Far away to center. There's that tall canvas in right. Wasn't there the first year it was here. They put it up because of so many ground rule doubles. Still very attractive in right field.
Boy, is he throwing hard. 2-2. This might be adrenaline. That can put a couple extra miles per hour on your fastball.
And sometimes the adrenaline this early pumps too hard and you throw yourself out. But again, they know Reardon's there for the 8th and 9th, something they didn't have last year or the year before. They do not have to pace themselves and save anything for the last couple of innings. Not anymore with this Twins pitching staff.
Blew him away. Viola fans 2 in the first. And we'll be back. .37-year-old Doyle Alexander, apparently uninspired with the Braves. Now turn the page and look at what he did with the Detroit Tigers. They also won 2 other games he started where he was not involved in the decision. He pitched 3 complete game shutouts, including one at Fenway, where he retired 26 of 27 after a couple of first-inning hits by the Red Sox. He combined with Mike Henneman for 2 more shutouts and had a game in the last week against Toronto where he went 10 2/3 at Toronto. He has been all but unhittable.
He just gave the sign to his catcher, Mike Heath, that he's going to just show those Twins hitter the knuckleball as they watch from the side. He may throw a few during the ball game. He's a masterful technician. Very concerned about mechanics, as is the great Tom Seaver. Changing the arm angle. Draws that line for his pivot front foot straight toward home plate, so he steps in the precise spot every time. Great changeup. Sneakier than you think with that fastball.
He'll get the fastball up to 87, 88, but mix it in with all the off-speed breaking stuff he can throw with pinpoint control. It looks faster.
Somebody asked if experience will mean anything. 19 of 24 of the Tigers have been in postseason play. Sparky advantage. Where the might come in is Doyle Alexander against a free-swinging ball club. And Joe Brinkman was the umpire in the Toronto game, the last game that Doyle pitched against Toronto. And the farther those guys swung at the pitch, the farther out he moved. And he played Brinkman and he played the hitters.
Here's Gladden. Breaking ball toward the hole and a diving play by Brookins. He throws him out. Terrific play by Brookins to open the last half of the first.
Playing it in front of the bag for Gladden because Gladden has the most pure speed on this ball club. Well off the line because Alexander likes almost everyone to play defensively straight away. He wants them to hit the ball in the big part of the ballpark, center field. Brookins missed the final game of the season against Toronto. He was in a hospital with a bad virus. Still a little bit ailing. He just makes a tremendous play on the turf.
That brings up Gagne, who had an 0 for 30 dive in late August, early September that spoiled his batting average, but he had a fairly productive season with the bat. Floats one up there high.
Alexander has been traded 7 times, been a free agent twice, released once. He's seen it all in a long big league career. Comes sidearm for a strike.
And right there you saw the sidearm fastball that was right near the outer edge. And if Brinkman gives Alexander that pitch, as he goes along with his series of pitches, Heath will move farther outside and keep testing Joe Brinkman to see what he'll give him.
One and two. Alexander is very blunt. When you ask him about all the different teams he's pitched for, he said, hey, I have no loyalty. I'm loyal to whoever pays me.
He's gotten traded more often than not because of his lack of ability, because he's a Maverick.
And there's his first strikeout. Came sidearm with some kind of dipping breaking ball, and he had Gagne completely fooled.
Sparky, since about a month into the season, and really for the benefit of young catcher Matt Noakes, but with Heath coming back over from the National League, he charts every pitch as what series.
All right, here he is. They list him at 5'8" and 220. Guy is built like a bowling ball. And he takes a strike. Kirby is 26 years old. You saw the power numbers with the 20. Kirby for the Supreme Court.
I thought he's running for governor with Bernanke as campaign manager.
You saw his power numbers. You know, coming into last season, he had 4 lifetime homers and over 1,200 at-bats. This one is out of play. Then last year, he explodes for 31 homers, and this year tacks on 28.
Well, everybody knows by now, just look at the body. He was into weightlifting. The smallest kid on the block, and he was expected to be a leadoff hitter, hit the ball on the ground and run like heck and hit for singles until Tony Oliva got hold of him before last year.
0-2 pitch in the dirt. He struck him out. So both Viola and Alexander fan 2 in the first. To the top of the second we go, and we'll return to the Metrodome in a minute. Frank Viola's brother John is scheduled to get married on October 17th, and Frankie's supposed to be the best man. That's also the day the World Series opens. So if Viola pitches well against the Tigers, he might have to miss the wedding.
That sign you saw on the split screen, it was in the right field corner. Frank Viola's begun leaving tickets for the young man who printed it, because he is 15-0 with that sign hanging out there, so the man says.
A strike to Trammell. The PA man described Trammell as the odds-on favorite for the American League MVP award. It's going to be very close between Trammell and George Bell, and probably Puckett of Minnesota will finish third. Up in his eyes, and he grounds it down to third. Gaetti, who won a Gold Glove last year, throws him out.
We have a chance to see some outstanding defensive play by the Minnesota Twins at the corners. You talked about Gaetti's Gold Glove. He has terrific range to his right, can be acrobatic. And when you relook at Gaetti and Herbeck, who's also outstanding, there are very few teams in the major leagues have that kind of strength defensively at the corners. I guess you'd have to go to Tim Wallach and Andres Galarraga with Montreal, the big cat at first base. So they are outstanding, and they play this turf well.
Herndon, whose homer on Sunday finished the Blue Jays, takes a strike. Platoons now in right field with Pat Sheridan, starting against the left-hander. Just low.
That will be interesting, Bob, and Sparky Anderson's not yet said, because at the end of the year, Scott Lusader, the kid who is not eligible for postseason play, was platooning with Herndon. After the home run, it was Sheridan slumping at the end. Perhaps Herndon will play against all kinds of pitching.
Here's a fastball and a towering fly ball toward the right field line. And Bernanke for the catch.
And you will notice Minnesota outfielders and infielders do not take their eye off the ball. It is not as bad as it was 2 years ago. They've added extra lighting. You see visiting players come in, They find the ball off the bat, pick a spot to run to, and they can no longer find the ball. But these Twins players, since the speakers you sit with, they put additional lights 2 years ago to take some of the shadows away. It has helped defensively on pop-ups, but still can be a problem at times.
They also changed the turf 2 years ago. It is not nearly as springy as it used to be. You'll still get AstroTurf extra base hits as you would in Toronto or at the Kingdome or in St. Louis. But it used to be a travesty here. It's improved somewhat. Lemon takes a change for a strike.
That's what Dick Such, the Twins pitching coach, has worked long and hard with Viola. Change speeds on your curveball. Do different things with your fastball. There he just ran and sunk the fastball away instead of coming in with the real hard one he threw in the first inning.
And the 1-1 pitch is a fastball right at the letters, and Lemon swings late. 1-2. Viola got 2 strikeouts in the first. And here's a bouncer up the middle. Lombardozzi won't get it. And that's the game's first base hit.
Grammas, the third base coach for the Tigers, will not try too many things, nor will these base runners like Lemon on the center field arm of Puckett. Grammas knows it's a fast surface. Puckett has great hands, not on ground balls and fly balls. One of the strongest, most accurate arms. So Trzaskowski and Grammas, the first and third base coaches, will not run a whole lot on Puckett's arm.
And the continuing marvel, Darrell Evans steps in, 34 homers at the age of 40. Ball 1.
Just another one of the reasons why you love to throw left-handers against the Tigers. Evans' bat, Whitaker's bat, get Matt Noakes, the rookie sensation, bat out of there. And, of course, Kirk Gibson's left-handed bat also.
Here's a long drive that is hooking foul. It had more than home run distance.
Who says a 40-year-old's bat speed has to slow down? Advanced scouting reports will still tell you, unless you get the ball belt-high and up and in on Evans with something on it, he can still get around and pull almost anybody's fastball, especially if it's down in that area. Outstanding low ball hitter. As hard as Viola's throwing, they're still playing way around to pull for him.
Gladden way off the line and left. 1-2. And he struck him out. That's 3 for Viola. No runs a hit. A man is left to the last of the second. No score in Minneapolis.
See the plexiglass atop the left field fence. When the turf was so springy a few years ago, virtually any fly ball that landed within 20 feet of the fence kangarooed over for a ground rule double. So they put the plexiglass atop it. That's now 13 feet high. But that fence is only 7 feet high, and that allows Kirby Puckett to get back there. And though he's only 5'8", he can dunk a basketball. He's able to leap up over that and pull potential home runs back. And then the blue monster out there in right field. With the canvas, it's 23 feet high and just 327 down the line.
Draw the curtain. Some derisively have called it a hefty bag.
You know, Bob, with the old turf and with the conditions before, a condition where the ball made it more bouncy and traveled farther, there was like 1 or 2 ground rule doubles every single series of the year. This year, there are 15 or 16 ground rule doubles because of the turf, of course, not as lively. Here's the man they're going to want to pitch around, the right-handed pitchers, and it's all right-handed pitchers scheduled at this point for Sparky Anderson the first 3 games starting.
And he might not use Tanana in game 4. That's fouled off to the left and out of play.
You can see the little auxiliary boxes there, and that gives less foul territory for the third and first baseman.
Outside 1-1. If that's an advantage for anybody, probably the Tigers, because Hrbek, the younger man, very agile despite his great size, is terrific at going down the line on foul pops. Evans at 40 wouldn't be as good. Inside 2-1.
Alex Alexander, a couple of hard pitches inside, trying to straighten Hrbek up in that crouch. Hrbek, the man who used to change his stance every time he had an offer. Now he's in that crouch with a bat on his shoulder, almost like Don Mattingly.
Had him fooled on that one, 2-2. What's the old Warren Spahn quote? Hitting is timing. Pitching is upsetting timing. If anybody understands that, it's Doyle Alexander. Down the left field line, racing over Gibson into foul ground for the catch in the bullpen.
This staff and the Minnesota Twins are predominantly right-handed hitting. Bush is in there today, and of course Hrbek will just find out. But Alexander, Morris pitching tomorrow, and Terrell first game have a tremendous facility to prevent left-handed hitters getting the ball in the air to right field. They run the fastball away. When they come inside bad. And it's awfully difficult to pull these guys when they're right, no matter how strong you are, and even if you're a natural pull hitter.
Gaetti takes a ball. He's the first Twin to drive in over 100 in consecutive years since Harmon Killebrew in 1970 and 71.
You just saw another example of what Doyle Alexander means when he changes the arm angle. Tom Kelly spent a lot of time playing baseball. His father managed in the semi-pro league here, and that's how he got to know Minnesota people. The youngest manager in the majors, Andy MacPhail, from a long line of MacPhails. A great fan of Kelly's, and boy, he's really made a difference along with Reardon with his club.
That's fouled out of play. Andy MacPhail is the 34-year-old general manager who has teamed with Kelly to take them not only to their first winning season since 1979, but all the way to the top of the American League West. Randy Bush on deck. And here's a long high drive, dead center, Lemon back, it's gone. Check swing roller down to Brookins, and he throws over to first to quiet the crowd a little bit. What you saw the folks waving as Gaetti made the tour around the bases. The Homer Hanky, which is something of a fad here in Minnesota.
Fastball up out over the plate. Basically speaking, if you had to categorize this Twins team, you'd say fastball hitting ball club, relatively free swinging. Gaetti likes the ball up more than down. And he got one up and out over the plate.
Brunansky drives one to right, but it's foul.
You know, Bob, this, when this ballpark first came into existence, before they put the air conditioning, it was named the Homer Dome, and rightfully so. And as you mentioned earlier, since they've air conditioned it, the ball does not carry, except when you get a lot of people in here, 50,000 plus today, more humidity, more heat. It's cold outside, so there's no air conditioning on. And Sparky said the ball's going to fly, and it's going to.
A jam shot down to Evans, and that'll do it. But Gaetti puts the Twins in front, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. And here's a long high drive, dead center, Lemon back, it's gone. You can't turn on the TV or radio in Minneapolis without hearing a song called My Baby Waves the Homer Hanky, with apologies to Tommy James and the Shondells, and Gaetti got him waving in the second.
The audiophile I am, I've got all their compact discs. I would go anywhere to find that kind of music.
Well, there is a lot of money at stake in the postseason.
I'll tell you, he crunched one pretty good. High outside fastball. Straightaway center field, and that ball really carries in that direction in this park.
Viola staked to a 1-0 lead. Starts Brookins with a strike. Two. Changes speeds, and down goes Brookins. That's 4 for Viola.
That's the great circle change. He holds it in a similar fashion. If you want to know what it looks like, you just put your finger together, give the A-OK sign, touch the pointing finger to the thumb, and what Viola does, unlike Darling's Edge, he spreads his little finger, the one next to, wide apart, and rolls off the one finger. Looks like a screwball. I believe Don Sutton, who did some pregame work with Marvin Albert, throws one like that and has for years.
Heath sends one toward the gap in left center. Back goes Kirby Puckett all the way to the fence. He can't even leap for this one. It is out of here to tie the game. And boy, did that ball ever take off. It was hit so hard that Kirby couldn't get back there in time to even think about a leap, and he plays a very deep center field. So Heath, who hit 8 during the regular season.
You see the expression on Sparky's face as if to say, where did you come up with that power, son? He was going to give him the cold shoulder silent treatment. Heath got him back in the ball game.
Against left-handers, they're without Noakes, who as a rookie hit 32, so you'd think they'd be giving something away. Not here. Amazing how quiet 50,000 can be. A ball to Whitaker.
Usually early in the game, and that's why it was kind of strange. Whitaker jumped on the first pitch. Madlock swung on the first pitch before he struck out. The Tigers like to make you throw a lot of pitches. They're experienced. They want to see everything you've got, try and wear you down. And middle relief at times has been a problem for Minnesota till they get to Reardon. Of course, the Tigers have had a similar kind of problem. Relief pitching except for Henneman.
Hard shot. Herbeck has it. Kelly flatly says that Herbeck is the best defensive first baseman in the American League, and he's mindful of how good Don Mattingly is, but Herbeck is his choice.
Billy Gardner, who manages ball club and been in baseball 40 years, I believe, said that he's the best first baseman he has seen in his 40 years in baseball, which he didn't see much of the National League with Hernandez. But Billy Gardner saw people like Vic Powers, who was exceptional, and Gil Hodges, who was exceptional. Ferris Fain, who was a left-handed thrower, but Herbeck is very agile, but playing with a pull muscle deep in his stomach, which could affect him before this series is over with.
Madlock grounds one foul. We're reminded by Heath's homer that the Tigers led the majors in this homer-happy season with 225, the second highest total for a season in baseball history. That one hit his foot in the batter's box. 0-2. Tony Kubek contributed 8 or 9 to that total of 240.
Gotta remember that 61 was without a designated hitter, as was the 47 Giants and those 56 Reds.
And the 63 Twins of Allison and Killebrew and the rest. That's a terrific point. Without a DH, makes the accomplishment all the greater. Viola fan Madlock in the first, and he does it here. 5 Ks for Viola, but Heath equals Gaetti, and we go to the last half of the third. Heath sends one toward the gap in left center. Back goes Kirby Puckett all the way to the fence. He can't even leap for this one. It is out of here to tie the game. And boy, did that ball ever take off. Lombardozzi, Laudner, and Gladden in the last half of the third. Day before yesterday, Lombardozzi was in the video room in the Twins clubhouse looking at his at-bats against Alexander. And I heard him say repeatedly as he watched pitches he took for strikes or swung through, what was that? Chopper toward Trammell. Low throw, Evans digs it out.
Allen has had trouble on occasion over the last few years with elbow problems and a little tenderness in the shoulder, the rotator cuff. doesn't have quite the zip he had a couple of years ago because of some of those injuries.
It's interesting, though, about Lombardozzi. He's as baffled by what Alexander throws as we are sometimes from up here.
Isn't everybody? I mean, the man finishes 9-0. You expect those kinds of finishes from power pitchers, whether it's a Gibson or a Clemens or a Koufax. But a finesser like he is, it's an extraordinary finish.
The graphic shortchanges Laudner. He's hit 16 home runs, but the batting average was accurate, $190. That's at the knees and on the outside edge.
And if Joe Brinkman, and we mentioned this earlier, continues to give that pitch to Doyle Alexander, it could be a long day for the right-handed hitters for the Twins. Doyle Alexander threw that one pitch to Gaetti up. Now he's back down in the strike zone. When he comes up and usually moves the guy off the plate.
Laudner fans for the second out of the last half of the third.
There's probably no pitcher in either league who can play on the hitter's weaknesses, pitch to their strengths. But if you're a low ball hitter, by that I mean he pitches lower than your strike zone. It makes you go after bad low pitches. If you like the ball away, he'll pitch away 6 inches out of the strike zone to make you go at it. So he kind of tantalizes you, and he can execute it.
Gladden was robbed on a diving play by Brookins in the first. We looked at Whitaker and Trammell, the veterans up the middle. Now they help a guy like Alexander because they've been around so long. They'll position themselves and anticipate based on what he's going to throw, and he'll hit the spots consistently. You love to play defense behind a guy like Alexander.
Well, as Alan Trammell has said, and Lou Whitaker, who doesn't talk a whole lot, said the same thing. With a guy like Alexander, even more than Morris or Terrell, we can lean. In other words, if the location is put down after the sign, and that particular pitch, Trammell could lean to the middle of the diamond to his left because the target was away, and Doyle Alexander's close to it.
Twins set an attendance record this year. They drew 2,081,000, and that with the smallest season ticket base in the majors. They had just 4,000 tickets a game sold by opening day.
Look at how he's spread out for that changeup.
And he hits this one to left. Gibson almost in his tracks makes the catch. A perfect third for Alexander. Now here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment.
The winner of this year's American League Rolaids Relief Man Award for the second season in a row, Dave Righetti. Presenting the award, John Walsh, President of American Chicle, makers of Rolaids.
Thanks, Mel. Rolaids never forgets what relief means, so we're proud to recognize the league's top relief man with this award. This year, once again, Rolaids spells relief, Dave Righetti.
Thanks, John. And thank you to Rolaids. And I also like to thank everyone for helping me throughout the season.
Of course, in the National League, there have been some memorable postseason games played at the Astrodome. The 80 series, Astros and Phillies, and then last year, the Mets in Houston, including the finale, the 16-inning classic. Here's Gibson in the fourth. Runs up, tries to drag one, instead pushes it. Foul on the third base side.
And we may be fortunate because the warnings by the weather people in this area said if you still have tomato plants out, you better cover them because there's a threat of snow north and east of here coming out of Alberta, Canada. And it could get down to below freezing later tonight. So where are your long johns, Robert?
Broken bat, roller towards short. Here's Gagne. Unloads quickly and got it. Gagne had him played towards second base. He had to cut back to his right and make a backhand play.
Viola saw Gibson's bat off, and perhaps the smartest player on this team, and most of the coaches say it, is Greg Gagne, the shortstop. He doesn't have tremendous ability. He's their best base runner. You could see how he played the turf, surrounded it for Gibson's speed, got off a good throw with something, got an outstanding throwing arm and very accurate.
Travels 0 for 1. Strike one.
Well, before the ball game, the PA announcer read some copy written by some PR directors from the American League, approved by the American League, saying the odds-on favorite for MVP is Trammell. Trammell doesn't say that.
Lombardozzi goes back to make the catch, and Kirby Puckett barely made it into your picture. He plays a very, very deep center field.
What you're looking at between those two, Bale gives you more instant offense. You factor in the defense of Trammell, one of the most important positions aside from catching day in and day out. Trammell gets points on that. But Trammell also hitting fourth will get a lot of cheap RBIs, and that's not a knock at Trammell in the Tiger lineup. That's why Sparky hit him fourth, because he doesn't strike out much. He puts the ball in play.
Bounce down to Gaetti. And a 1-2-3 top half of the fourth. Still tied at 1 in the Metrodome. What a contrast when you look at the skippers. Sparky, a household name, been in the World Series 5 times, won it 3. And a guy like Tom Kelly, who could go on What's My Line in full uniform and stump the panel.
A 3-game series that Sparky Anderson managed against the Blue Jays on that last week game. There was 3 exciting games. Showed me he's a great manager. He understands pitching, I think. He knew he had to pitch around with Fernandez and Witt out of the lineup, 3 and 5 hitters, which probably sent them here, not Toronto having those 2 out. And he just kept pitching around George Bell.
Gagne, Puckett, and Hrbek in the fourth. A strike on the outside corner.
Or close to the outside corner. And Doyle will keep it out there, too. As long as he keeps getting the call. And then what happens is the hitters get closer to the plate if you're right-handed. They start going into the ball to reach the outside corner, and then it makes them inside much more effective where you can bust their bats. He's having a little trouble. That's the second or third time he's just thrown the ball right out past Doyle Alexander. He is not one of those who has a mental block. There have been some that's happened. Remember Mike Ivey? He couldn't throw it back.
Heath was a major disappointment for the Cardinals after they dealt Joaquin Andujar to the A's for him prior to last year. So they let him go, gave up on him, and he's found the groove again in Detroit. He's contributed with the bat, and his throwing has returned. He's been very effective there. Bouncer to Trammell. 4 Gold Gloves for him, 3 for his partner Whitaker.
There he is again, right up the middle of the diamond, where Doyle Alexander's trying to make him hit it. Trammell and a lot of the Tigers were talking before the ball game in their clubhouse about a very class guy who sent a telegram, Lance Parrish, wishing them the best of luck. And really, there were a lot of guys on the verge of tears when they saw his beautiful telegram. And you just mentioned Heath and Noakes, and they've got over 100 RBIs between them. So they didn't lose his RBIs, Lance Parrish, but they sure missed a lot of other things about him.
Kirby struck out to end the last half of the first. Hopper to Whitaker. Chest high bounce, and that takes care of Kirby Puckett, who's now 0 for 2.
Up till 2 years ago, that's the way Kirby Puckett hit. No home runs the first year, 4 home runs the second. Beat down on the ball. He had like 25 bunt base hits his first season. He hadn't even tried to bunt this year. A lot of balls he beat out. Now he's starting. Once in a while he gets in that groove. He just starts to defensively swing for the opposite field.
This one looks like it'll make the seats, and it does.
Low ball hitter will chase fastball up and in. And you might see a Doyle Alexander go up and in bad. But then, with that short porch in right field, we talked about this earlier. Alexander runs the fastball away so well with such good action. He can pitch outside, and he'll make him hit it to center field. Hrbek has the power to center field to hit it out there. So, no matter what scouting reports sometimes tell you, a pitcher has his own idea, and he'll do it his own way, depending on what pitch is working and the feel he has when he hits the mound.
Especially Alexander. Even with a veteran catcher like Heath, Alexander's calling his own game.
He has his own set of signs he brings wherever he goes. So if you try and steal signs from the center field camera, you can forget it. He shakes of the head and wipes with the glove, add, subtract, change location.
Here's a drive, and Whitaker leaps to spirit. What the players call an atom ball. Hit hard, but right at him. Back after these messages from your local station.
You know, ever since I came home to Minnesota, I've been hearing how the Twins are hurting without Carew. Well, don't count on it. Guys like Erickson, Goltz, and Marshall have given us some of the best pitching we've had in years. And new guys like Landreau and Jackson have already helped us. And Roy Smalley's become a star. Sure, a lot of people have written us off.
Well, that's okay.
Right, because now we've got something to prove.
Tell them like it is, Coos. Right. Right.
The Minnesota Twins. This year, we've got something to prove.
Well, Gaetti's going to be the leadoff man in the bottom half of this inning. Earlier, he had them waving the Homer hanky.
What are you? The Homer hanky? What is this?
That's what it is. It's a big hit record around here.
Well, I know in college you're a lit major reading Homer and all this, but a Homer hanky? You come up with it, man.
Top half of the fifth. Lemon, Evans, and Brookins. If anybody gets on, it'll be Heath. His homer tied the game after Gaetti had given the Twins the brief 1-0 lead. Sky-high pop. Herbeck back. Calls Lombardozzi off and squeezes it.
And most first basemen, you mentioned this earlier, Bob, would have just given away to the second baseman. Herbeck with those great hands. Sometimes they put the klutzes at first base who can't move, usually or sometimes can't throw, but not with Herbeck.
Like the rest of his teammates, Frank Viola has found home cooking especially tasty. Evans fouls it off. Viola hasn't lost at the Metrodome since May 22nd. The Tigers and Jack Morris beat him that night 3-2.
Wasn't it interesting talking to him yesterday during the workout when players are much more accessible before the game, talking about the greatest game he ever saw, the Ron Darling Viola game?
Tell you about it after this pitch to Evans. Took something off, and Evans is out in front. Viola pitching for St. John's and Darling for Yale in an NCAA playoff game. Dueled 12 innings before Viola won it 1-0. But he said, I pitched a 6-hitter and felt like I was losing because Darling threw a no-hitter through 11. Evans goes the other way, and Gagne can't come up with it.
He was trying to shuffle his feet so he could get position. Remember, on the artificial surface, unlike when we go to Detroit for Game 3, you can go straight at the ball, break your speed by sliding with your right foot in the dirt and even the grass sometimes and come up throwing. Here, you've got to use those little choppy steps or surround the ball to get an angle. And he was starting to use those choppy steps to get position to throw, and he really couldn't get in front of the ball.
That is rightly ruled a hit. It might surprise you to learn that the Twins made fewer errors than any team in the American League. Just 98. Brookins. In the air to left center field. Gladden will have room. Back to first goes Evans with 2 out.
Gladden, who has been a surprise, remember with the San Francisco Giants under Frank Robinson a few years back, he was a center fielder, had a high on-base percentage. When they put him to left field, they weren't sure he'd do a good job. But that's a pretty big left field out there, and he's really done well, and he's throwing better than they thought he could. He could be very important as a leadoff hitter. If he can get on base so they can't pitch around what they call the big four here, he could be very important in this series, Dan Gladden, with his running speed.
Heath burned Viola his last time. This time a slow roller to short, and Gagne goes the short way to Lombardozzi for the force. Evans' single is wasted. To the last of the fifth we go. You got to look at tonight's pitching story. Alexander dueling with Viola. And the hitting story thus far, Gaetti and Heath with the solo homers.
Two different style of pitchers. Viola pretty much more of a hard throw. Alexander more of a finesser, control, movement on the ball. The G-man, Gary Gaetti. Ralph Houck was talking about him, saying, I don't know how he can drive in 100 runs as he did when most of the bases have been cleared by the hitters hitting in front of him. Puckett and Herbeck. He said shows you how many important base hits he's got, in key situations.
It's no day at the beach
against Alexander, but you couldn't tell from where Gaetti was perched. It's not often that you see lovely lawn furniture like that in a big league ballpark. Bush and Brunansky will follow Gaetti last half of the fifth. He's going for number 2. It's way back. It's out of here. First pitch of the inning. Homer Hankies. Tony, the only question about that one was whether or not it would be high enough. It was a bullet that barely got over the low fence, the 7-foot high fence.
Carl Alexander apparently trying to get the ball down and away, unlike the first home run, but it was an off-speed pitch. He got Thistle out and up over the plate also. They want Gaetti out, but there in game number 1, he not getting involved in many histrionics. Gaetti didn't want to come out.
Sparky finally looks his age at 53. It's hard to believe with the snow-white hair that he was only 36 when he first burst on the national scene with the Reds in 70. Down the right field line, fair ball. It bounces against the canvas, is in play. Tough hop. Bush wants a triple, and he'll make it. When that ball hits the canvas, look what happens. It doesn't really carry back to Herndon, and then with some crazy English, it kicks away from him. Had it hit lower on the fence, it would have taken a more conventional bounce back toward it.
Plus, they worked out yesterday, early today. He doesn't know this park as well as his own, and he has a terribly bad knee, which hurts him on the artificial surface, and he really can't get after balls. Figuring there are going to be more runs. He's got the infield back all the way. A bullet hit back to Brookins. He might come home. They're going to concede the run this early. So Sparky figures there's going to be a lot more to come in this ball game as far as runs.
Bush at third, nobody out. Another extra base hit. In comes Bush. Brunansky has a double.
Pitch he's thrown that's been mashed has been up in the strike zone. Early part of the game, most he was off the outside corner away and down low. Had the Twins swinging at some bad pitches. Now he's gotten them up. Doyle pitched with 3 days rest at times at the end of the season, although not his final performance. Could he have been worn down a little bit? They've got the bullpen up as Heath went out for a conference stall for a little bit of time. In tight at the corners now. Looking for the bunt. Excellent butter, Lombardozzi.
He bunts toward first. Evans tags him as he goes by. Successful sacrifice.
Dan Petrie who pitched well in long relief after he faltered as a starter coming off the elbow surgery. And the start late in the season didn't do well starting. So now there'll be another conference to try and buy some more time for Dan Petrie. And would assume infield coming all the way, or at least halfway on this artificial surface for Lundman.
0-1 to Laudner, who struck out his first time, and Alexander is thinking strikeout here.
The Twins very aware they've got at least split, and they feel a lot better if they could win the first two here before Detroit.
Laudner's behind 0-2.
In the infield, Whitaker playing halfway, and that's because he has such a good throwing arm. One of the best for second baseman. You can see Trammell, who's had the arm problems on the left side, even though it's a right-handed hitter, playing in because his throwing arm is not as strong as it used to be.
Struck him out. That's 4 for Alexander.
It's one of those situations where you would rather have had at the plate Tom Kelly a finesse hitter, where you might throw the thought of a squeeze play instead of a slugger who strikes out a lot. And that's usually the kind of guy you've got in the 9 spot. A guy who can bunt, keep something going, or get it going for the 1 and 2 hitters with the DH in this league.
Gladden swings and misses. This might drop. It does. It's 4-1.
Legitimate base stealers on first base right now. Alexander, quick move to first and unloads home in a hurry, similar to what we saw in the Vin and Jones game yesterday. The way Russell could unload home quickly to allow the catcher to get Vince Coleman.
Gladden has swiped 25. Not going. Check swing foul. Rick Rennick flashing the signs from the third base coach's box. Twiggy, Wayne Terwilliger is the coach at first, veteran baseball man. Diving back is Gladden.
Darwood Merrill, the first base umpire, looking closely that no balk move is committed.
And that finishes Gagne, but the Twins hit for the cycle in the inning. Homer by Gaetti, triple by Bush, double by Brunansky, single by Gladden. 4-1 Minnesota. He's going for number 2. It's way back. It's out of here. First pitch of the inning.
Through the first 4 innings, Doyle Alexander got very few pitches up in the strike zone and not where he wanted them. He got a high fastball up to Gaetti in the second and a home run to dead center field. And then leading off the 5th, looked like a sidearm off-speed pitch, and Doyle is checking with his catcher, Mike Heath. Was that one up also? And most of them were in the 5th when the Twins scored 3 runs.
One and out to Whitaker, leading off in the 6th. Here's the pitch Gaetti crushed.
Either little slider or that changeup.
A chopper to Herbeck. Easy chance. 1 out. Up comes Madlock. Let's see how Viola works to him. Steve Horn, charting the pitches for us up here in the booth, points out that Viola got him on fastballs, busting him inside in the first. Then in the third, all breaking balls away, and he struck him out with that. This is a weak pop-up. And he's done on the first pitch.
Madlock once again having difficulty getting around in a fastball up and in. So Viola, who when he first came up was a thrower, he's now been able to spot the ball just a little bit. That at bat, it looked like Madlock moved off the plate. You can wait a little bit longer in the fastball, hit it a little bit farther back in the strike zone, but he still couldn't get around on the Viola fastball.
To imagine as you look at Gibson, who's been a very prominent and celebrated player for several years. He's never made the All-Star team, not even as a reserve. Neither has he ever become the superstar people said he would be. He is a very good player, not a great player. But there are times when he can seize a game with his raw physical talent, as he did in the '84 World Series against the Padres.
And Sparky's already admitted when Gibson first came up, the worst statement he ever made was saying that Gibson is like Mickey Mantle. Well, he's got the power of Mantle, the speed near Mantle's. Didn't throw like Mickey, but he never had done it.
Exuberance is one thing, sacrilege is another.
Oh. Hold on to your bubblegum card in your breast pocket.
2-1. And here's a long blast. Brunansky back. He's a spectator.
No.
It hit the canvas on the backside.
Gibson wasn't sure either. He held up until the umpire said, yeah, it did.
It's over.
What Gibby saw was the ripple in the canvas. He thought it hit the canvas and was in play, but it hit off the facade and hit the canvas on the backside. This Tiger team scored just under 900 runs during the 162-game season. Very few teams in baseball history have done that, not for a long while. He wasn't sure, but the ball just keeps on going in this nice, humid, warm air tonight. Now he rechecks, and the second base umpire, Drew Coble, said, yeah, you got one, Gibby. Viola got behind, he sat on the fastball.
A strike to Trammell, so 4 homers tonight. Heath and Gibson for the Tigers. 2 of them for Gaetti of the Twins.
Well, it is the Homer Dome again tonight. Maybe tomorrow, if it stays cold, nor conditioned, a lot of people.
Trammell didn't get all of this one. Gladden in left center. The homer by Gibson cuts into the Tiger deficit as we head for the last of the 6th. It's 4-2. 2-1. And here's a long blast. Brunansky back. He's a spectator.
No.
It hit the canvas on the backside.
Gibson wasn't sure either. He held up until the umpire said, yeah, it did.
It's over.
What Gibby saw was the ripple in the canvas. He thought it hit the canvas and was in play, but it hit off the facade and hit the canvas on the backside.
They call it the Homer Dome, but truly it hasn't been, as you see several clubs had more sail over the fences in their home parks than did the Twins, and even more revealing. There were 198 homers hit in Twins games here. There were 208 homers hit in Twins road games this season. But it's been a Homer Dome tonight with 4. Part of the order, Puckett, Hrbek, and that man again, Gaetti. Ball 1 low. The only club in baseball history with 4 30 home run hitters, Tommy Lasorda's 1977 Dodgers. The Twins came close. Into center field, Lemon got a late break, but he gets there.
He plays very deeply, just as you mentioned earlier, that Puckett does. Alexander got a ball into the fists of Kirby, jammed him just a little bit and flared it. Well, the middle relievers have gone down to the bullpen for Tom Kelly's Twins, Schatzeder's down to the only left-hander. Atherton, Frazier, Berenguer. Joe Nico may be there, but it's not yet time. Perhaps the 7th inning when Reardon will amble down.
Hrbek bounces one toward Whitaker. Nonchalantly takes care of it. And the roar is for Gaetti. Gaetti, Hrbek, and Brunansky all top 30 homers. Puckett came close with 28.
A little extra and a little more focus on trying to keep the ball this time, at least for the first pitch on Gaetti. Alexander's been burned twice by Gary on balls up and out over the plate.
Remember the League Championship Series game at Kansas City in '85 when George Brett hit 2 homers off Alexander and missed a third by about a foot as he got a double off the top of the right field fence. So Alexander has been roughed up in the playoffs before.
It is a great hitter's pitch seemingly, but here's the time where Doyle Alexander likes to pull the string. And then fastball.
Into shallow center field this time. And Lemon puts it away. A perfect 6th. And Gaetti finally proves human. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Come on, big man.
Last year, this man hit .388, the best in 20 years. He led the league in hits, triples, and runs scored. He won his 6th batting title, was voted most valuable player, and made the cover of Time.
Too good.
But Rod Carew wants more.
I want that Gold Glove, and I want it bad.
Rod Carew, he just gets better and better.
Viola takes a 4-2 lead to the 7th. Just how important is this outing by Viola to the Twins' chances? Well, you're looking at a guy in Viola who has an ERA more than a run lower than any other Twins pitcher. The Tigers are barely a .500 club against left-handers, and they have a terrific record against righties. Herndon hits one softly into center, and Puckett will not get to this. So it's a leadoff hit for Herndon. Now, tomorrow night, as good as Bert Blyleven is, you've got a guy who's given up 50 and 46 home runs the last 2 years, the highest 2-season yield in baseball history. Sparky's team is primarily left-handed in terms of power. Here's Blyleven charting pitches tonight.
Bert in a transition portion of his career after the high homer total last year. He's walked a lot more this year, changing speeds more, but we'll see what he does tomorrow.
Lemon wraps one. Gagne can't get it. Herndon will stop at second, and the Tigers have something going in the top of the 7th.
Jeff Reardon next to Tony Oliva, the man, along with Tom Kelly, almost every player said has made the biggest difference on this ball club. And Tom Kelly has used him so well. He only had 33 or 40 at the All-Star break. He said, this is the first time in my career that I've come into September and now October without a bad elbow. He's throwing the ball very well. There's St. Thomas and Detroit's collectively. Kelly has his bullpen up.
That's Juan Berenguer, who pitched for the Tigers in their World Championship season of '84, now with the Twins. And they have meal money in Minnesota as well, as you see. Evans takes a strike. Line drive, base hit. Herndon held up, and the bases are loaded on 3 consecutive singles.
We talked before This isn't a collection of great players. There are some great ones on this Detroit team, but collectively and the way they execute, they will make a pitcher throw strikes. If their pitchers will make the opposition hit balls and get themselves out. Sparky not only charts his own pitchers, he watches series of pitches and what the catcher calls, and maybe they're catching on Viola because maybe Sparky's charting has now found a sequence in the pitches of Viola. He's got a tough thing to pitch out of right now.
Infield looks for the double play. Brookins 0 for 2.
Now it's important for Viola to try and stay within himself. He overthrew that pitch, lost the strike zone completely. In his past, up until a year or so ago, and he doesn't do it anymore, he was very volatile on him. On an error behind him, a couple of base hits. Something went wrong, the ball wasn't caught, he could explode. He now has his emotions more under control, and he needs to control them right now.
Hold the string.
He threw a with-the-seam fastball, a sinker baller's grip, and got the running action, moving away, and also a little sinking action to try and get the double play.
Herndon, Lemon, and Evans lead away. Laudner the sign, Viola the pitch. 2-1.
He just aimed that well. He didn't have much on that last pitch, Bob. He was trying to sink it again, and luckily it drifted out of the strike zone. He didn't have much on it.
That'll make the seats 2-2.
A little bit harder sinker that time, wasn't it, Bob?
You talked about the composure cited by Kelly and the pitching coach Dick Such. The way Viola will not be rattled in situations like this, as he might have been a couple of years ago. Gathering himself now to work to Heath, who's homered and grounded out. That's a ball. Gagne pinched towards second base. Gaetti near the line at third. A lot of room in that hole between the two of them.
As long as Viola keeps running the ball away, that's where Gagne's going to play in the middle of the diamond. Doesn't feel that Brookins will be able to hurt him to his right. And he's got a groove on that outside corner now, that sinker.
Play, a ball and 2 strikes. Ooh, 2-2. The duel continues, and he's a pitch away from walking a run home.
He'll have to make a decision. Do I stick with the sinker now and try and run it, keep it down, middle of the part out, or do I go four-seamer and say, here it is, hit it? He may just come in and throw as hard as he can with a four-seamer.
Line drive, base hit that could tie the game. 1 run home. Puckett with a great arm, and they hold the others. And look at that throw.
Alex Grammas knows the arm strength and the accuracy of Puckett, one of the best in this league. He plays deeply, but on this turf, the ball got to him early. He went on a 3-2 pitch, a fastball, four-seamer, Had to throw a strike, thought he could pop him up or strike him out. And look at Kirby get a great position throw and a one-hopper to Tim Lawton. The respect that the Greek, Alex Grammas, has for that man's throwing arm.
But 4 singles have drawn Sparky's club to within 1, and the bases are loaded with just 1 out.
It's brought a trip from Dick Such, who was a pitching coach for the Texas Rangers, or Doug Rader. He's a very soft-spoken man who understands people along with the mechanics of pitching.
Again, in my mind, and I think in the minds of most other observers, this is the big game for the Twins. No disrespect intended toward Blyleven, who's been one of the game's best pitchers the last decade and a half. But the convergence of factors just doesn't bode well for the Twins tomorrow night. I feel they must get a victory here.
Well, the thing about it is Detroit has been weak against left-handers. You're dealing with one of the best left-handers in the league. You beat him, it's got to be a letdown for this Twins team. Although they haven't let down all year through all the adversity they've been in.
All right, Whitaker. Possible double play. They're coming home, though. And they get the force. And that was the right decision because it was not hit hard enough.
It's a left-handed hitter, and Whitaker, even though Whitaker does have a bad instep, not running as well as he ordinarily does, Hrbek showed you not only his ability to charge the ball, watch it. He knows he's got to go get the ball, charge it, made his own hop, showed the strength and accuracy of his arm.
Hrbek is one of the best in the business at turning the 3-6-3, but not on that ball as I had originally thought for 2 reasons. Hit too slowly, and he couldn't retreat to the bag quickly enough as he had to come off to make the play, so he made the right choice. Bases loaded, 2 out.
Plus you had Heath coming off first base, who's a very aggressive slider with a big lead, and he'd have just torn somebody up at second base.
Hasn't had even a scent of Viola. Struck out twice and popped up. And this one is flagged down by Viola. He throws him out. The Tigers got the minimum out of 4 singles. Just 1 run. Designated hitters, domes, AstroTurf, but one thing hasn't changed for decades and decades. Pulses still race in October when the money is on the table. And watch the sigh of relief from Viola.
If he doesn't get that ball, Bob, Lombardozzi's going to get it. But he's going to have to eat it. 1 run, and then you've got Gibson who homered off Viola the next time, stepping in with the bases loaded. So he made a good play, and he's not known to be an outstanding fielder.
Madlock, the DH, who's now 0 for 4. Randy Bush had a triple in the 3-run 5th. In the air to center field, Lemon back and over. Has it.
Talking to Royce Smalley, Gene Mock's nephew, about that dome, and he said, you know, the last 2 years I've only seen a few balls lost. If you'd have gone back before they put the lighting, the extra lighting up there 3 years ago, there seemed like there were 1 or 2 every series, especially in that center field area.
Brunansky wallops one, but Gibson is there. It was hit hard, but almost in his tracks. Kirk makes the catch for the 2nd out. And again, we remind you that we'll select the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the contest.
One of the big questions asked about the Tigers that, in fact, Kirby, Puckett, a lot of the others mentioned, could they get aroused for this league championship series after what they had to go through against the Toronto Blue Jays? 7 games, all decided by 1 run. The total score was 25-24. That's how close those 7 games were. Could they be flat? Viola that good?
Well, meanwhile, the Twins kind of meandered into the playoffs, losing their last 5 after clinching the American League West. They were actually a game under 500 after the All-Star break. With their 85 wins, the Twins would have finished 5th in the American League East. Bouncer toward the hole. Trammell from what would be the outfield grass doesn't get it.
Plants the right foot. He's in shallow left field. He did get a lot on the throw, but with Lombardozzi swinging, getting a good step or two out of the box, a good jump, Trammell did all he could. His team not gifted with a lot of blazers, but the meat of the diamond for this Minnesota team has been very important. Short second, they contribute a lot of little ways. They do not yet have the exposure of Whitaker and Trammell. May never be that good, but they're not bad.
2 Ks next to Laudner's name in the scorebook, and strike 1 to him here. Back to Alexander. High throw, but Evans is able to handle it. And we move on to the 8th. Viola doesn't have much margin of error left. And let's see if we even see him or if it'll be Reardon. Off with the jacket, he's coming back.
Well, that man down on the lower portion of Tom Kelly's scorecard, and a little unusual, he's listed along with the left-handed pitchers, but it's Jeff Reardon, and it must be very comforting for Frank Viola, as it has been for all of these starters all year, that if we get into the 8th, we can just let it all hang out, throw as hard as we can, go after this, because Jeff is sitting there behind us. Complete games, not many, a lot of it because that man on the left, Jeff Reardon.
Last year, the Twins, who had a woeful pitching staff then, actually led the American League in complete games. Not because their starters were so good, but because their bullpen was so terrible. One and one to Gibson, who homered his last time up. Another good change. 1 and 2. Since that low point that you mentioned in May, when they were 8-9 games under 500, they've played .660 baseball, the best in the majors. In the dirt.
Talk about oddities. How about the Minnesota Twins? They actually, during the 162-game schedule, gave up more runs than the opposition, and they're here in the league championship series. They scored less than their pitchers gave up.
Full count now. Oh, he went to the changeup on 3 and 2. Change off the curve and missed with it. So Gibson, who can run, he's stolen 26, is aboard with a tying run. And Reardon wondering when the phone's going to ring.
Well, you know Trammell is going to hit. It's a hanging curveball, and not too many years ago with the inflated protectors, that ball's a strike. It's one of those where it's unfair to the pitcher. If a hitter wants to hack at it, he can beat the heck out of the hanger, but if he takes it, it's a ball. Tom Kelly is not going to be too quick to get Viola out. Not with the lead he's got. Doesn't seem like much at Slim, but what you've got is Matt Noakes bat sitting on the bench, and he would come in probably for Herndon, or maybe Johnny Grubb, or Bergman, or Sheridan, but more likely Noakes if there's a man out.
The 0-1 pitch to Trammell. Liner over Lombardozzi's leap, and on the turf, it gets deep into the gap. It'll be a double for Trammell. And on to third is Gibson. Second and third, nobody out. That's a single at Tiger Stadium.
Now he's going to have to worry over what he's going to do. And you can see it's the first signs of uneasiness that Tom Kelly has shown. He is saying, what matchup do I want? Viola against Herndon, or the possibility of Reardon against Matt Noakes. Possibility. Because then you got two catchers, you lose Noakes early in case you want to pitch it for Heath later, so that changes things with this 24-man roster.
He wants Reardon. Now if Sparky pulls Herndon back and sends up Noakes, they have a base open. The go-ahead run is at second now. So they could walk Noakes if he gets up there and set up the double play or the force at the plate.
He has Bergman, who is a veteran hitter, and here comes Dave. He'll save Noakes for another time.
The ERA was inflated early when Reardon struggled in April and May. After the All-Star break, he's been the kind of pitcher they thought they were getting when they swapped Neil Heaton to the Expos for him.
Fastball in the low 90s, good straight change, and a pretty decent curveball, so he's got 3 pitches. A lot of relievers, short relievers have just 2.
Bergman swings on the first one. Fly ball that'll be deep enough to tie the game, but watch Trammell at second. Puckett charging. Play at third, no. Trammell was able to tag in advance. Herbeck, as he cut it off, had an idea. So now Viola will be denied the win. And if Trammell scores, Viola, despite his heroic effort, could lose.
Kirby tried to get a running start to get an angle to get more impetus on his throw home, and he actually waited too long and came on the run and didn't get as much as he usually does on the throw. They do what they have to do, don't they? They're a real group of veterans. Need a sac fly, they usually get it. 2 years ago wasn't the same after the '84 season. Look at Tim. I don't know if he lost the ball in the thing, and then all of a sudden he rushed up on the ball and made a very, very short throw. If he makes a throw, they might have cut it off and got the runner at third.
Infield moves in, and Lemon takes a ball. Twins had a 4-1 lead. Tigers have come back a run at a time. Homer by Gibson in the 6th. 4 singles for a run in the 7th. And one more here to even it. In the air to right field, and the Tigers are going to have the lead. Brunansky makes the catch in foul ground, so in theory he didn't have to catch that, but he didn't know that as he crossed the line.
He did not know his rights. The ball just kept drifting. He was going to try and get an angle to throw home, which was impossible because he came so far from right center field. But again, what do? A split-second decision. Maybe Brunansky never even thought of it. But right there, it may have been fair, Bob. It's difficult to tell unless you're shooting right down the line. And you take the shirt out when you can get it. If he knows it's definitely foul, he'd have to make a decision and maybe let it go because it was too deep. He makes a decision because it's right on the line if he even thought about it. Good call by you, Bob.
Evans is 2 for 3. The Tigers have their first lead. Gibson walked, Trammell doubled into the gap in right center, and all of a sudden Alexander's back in business with a lead, and then sacrifice flies by Bergman and Lemon got the job done.
As Sparky vowed late in the season his bullpen struggled, he would stick with his starters until their arms fell off. He did that pretty much in the series in Detroit against Toronto. Yeah, it's going to be interesting in all the post-game press conference. If we still got some time to go for Minnesota to bat, you can bet that Tom Kelly's going to be asked the question, why would Trammell, the cleanup hitter, up? Did you think of going to Reardon to get Trammell before the base hit off Viola? Viola appeared to be throwing the ball pretty well. Although we've gotten out of a close call in the 7th.
This ball's hit down the line. Brunansky racing over, and he makes the running catch again in foul ground. Two more cracks at it for Minnesota. They'll have the top of the order in the last of the 8th. There was no play at the plate, so why didn't Puckett throw to third and hold Trammell at second?
Well, you will watch Kent Herbeck on this replay. If he gets the ball in the fly to start with, now, as you said, Kirby could have gone right to third, and you can see where Trammell is. Just about 2/3 down. If Herbig gets it on the fly, not the short hop, he may get him even at that. But he had a battle to hop. So little things that turn out to be big things if Detroit turns out winning it. If. With Herndon out, you'll see from this shot, Sheridan, defensive player, out in right field for Sparky Anderson.
Gladden to start it. Up the middle, and the tying run is on for the Twins.
Well, the age-old baseball action as Willie Hernandez, the left-hander, Mike Henneman, the right-hander. You play to tie at home and win on the road, but you can do a lot of things with Gagne. Gladden is a base-stealing threat. He might take it, might be a straight steal. You might try and hit one, break up the infield. Brookins looking for a bunt, so there are three possibilities. Billy Muffet trying to check to see if they're ready in his path.
Brookins thinks he's bunting, and he's right. Toward first, Evans makes the running catch in foul ground.
Perhaps a player that executes in almost all phases as well as anybody on this team, Greg Gagne. And Doyle Alexander got a pitch in on him with a little fastball and forced him to pop it up. The things they practiced on. The first off day, there were two before this started. Alexander, suspecting bunt, busts it up and in, trying to get the pop-up, and he does. But 2 days ago, that's what Tom Kelly had his people out here doing. The pitchers have begun hitting and bunting to get ready for the World Series. The DH fluctuating from park to park. He had his regulars bunting a lot to try and get the finesse plays down, and the practice didn't work in that instance.
Kirby they chant. Anderson with Henneman and Hernandez getting ready, but sticking with Alexander for the time being.
He was hitting latter part of the season until Tony Oliva said, look, you're floating back into your old pattern. Start driving the ball.
And he drives this one into the gap in left center field. Lemon chasing after, can't get it. It bounces off the plexiglass. Here comes the tying run. Play at the plate. Safe.
GM in baseball wanted to do was get more speed into the lineup. Alexander leaves. Here comes Mike Henneman. But they got the speed in Al Newman, a utility infielder, pinch runner, and Gladden. The relay could not have been executed better. And the outfielder to Trammell and Holm, and Heath tried to block him off the plate. Gladden slid right through it, and Doyle Alexander's gone. Will he finally get a loss?
It was a perfect relay. Lemon plays the carom off the glass very cleanly. Unloads to Trammell, who has a very strong arm, in perfect position, right over Evans, the cutoff man. But Gladden slides in ahead of Heath's tag.
Boots Day, one of those who did advanced scouting for Sparky Anderson's Tiger probably saw the same scouting reporter had it that we did. Puckett hitting more to right field, so they moved Lemon toward right center field. The gap was in left center, and in the speed of Gladden after a good jump gets him in. They're going to probably walk Herbeck now. Sparky does that an awful lot, takes the bat on left-hander's hand to get to Gary Gaetti, who had back-to-back home runs. Henneman, a sinker baller, fork ball, and a slider.
Henneman, as he finishes the walk. Alexander looking on. Henneman is from St. Charles, Missouri. Played in 2 College World Series for Oklahoma State, where he was a teammate of the Rangers' Pete Incaviglia. Bottom of the 8th. 2 on, 1 out for Gaetti.
Puckett with that speed at second. Going to be looking in the event that Henneman bounces one of those fork balls in the dirt. He should get a good walking lead. He may be able to advance on it. That the veteran Alexander was getting early in the ball game, right near the outer edge. The rookie doesn't get it from Joe Brinkley. Willie Hernandez, there were thoughts that he might not be able to pitch in this league championship series. Hernandez yesterday, after batting practice was done, pitched a simulated game to Whale Wonder and Lusader, who are along for the ride, although not eligible.
As you might expect, the moment Hernandez was announced, the left-handed hitting Bush was called back, and out comes Don Baylor to hit for him.
Struggle in their Twins uniform in 20 ball games, no home runs, just 6 RBIs. Always the possibility he'll tuck that left shoulder into the strike zone and get hit.
Ball 1 high.
Think this will be the only man Hernandez will face, and then he's gone.
Brunansky is on deck. It nearly hit him. He's been hit 28 times this year to easily lead the majors. And he's got 255 career bruises to take baseball's all-time masochism award. The 2-0 pitch. The 1979 MVP and the 84 MVP, each past their peak. Who's got a little more left in this situation? Bases loaded, 1 out. Puckett with the lead run in a 5-5 game. Herbeck down at second. Gaetti, who walked at first. That's a hit. 1 run is home. They'll stop Herbeck at third.
He threw the screwball. He stayed away from the screwball to Baylor. He stuck with the fastball, got burned, and the fastball up and in.
Boy, what a game to open this series, and what an atmosphere in Minneapolis.
I thought sure Hernandez would be gone after the base hit and the right-hander would be out. But they've gotten to the part of the Tigers that have been so vulnerable, the bullpen.
Popped him up. Let's see if it stays in. At third, Gaetti at second. Baylor, who knew what to do when they turned the spotlight on, is at first. And here's a shot that'll add more runs. It gets in the gap. Two are home. Baylor being waved home. They got a chance on him. And he's out at the plate. On a two-run double by Brunansky. That makes it 8-5. Comes out to close the barn door after they stampeded home. Hernandez has lost his touch, and the Tigers have lost their lead.
And at least temporarily, the monkey off Tom Kelly's back, who might have had a pitching change question. Sparky will be asked after the press conference, why did you leave Hernandez in when you had Eric King in to pitch to Tom Brunansky, who may have broken it open? We'll find out.
Home in the last of the eighth.
A hard thrower who can have control problems. Good live fastball and hard slider. Next year, they say he'll be only a starter.
As you wonder about Sparky's decision to stick with Hernandez, consider this. The last 15 hitters Hernandez has faced, he's retired only 3 of them. He's yielded 7 hits and 5 walks in that stretch. Here's a little broken bat fluke. Whitaker retreats and makes the catch. So that finishes it, but not nearly in time from the Tiger perspective.
Left center, Bush. Hit one out. Minnesota Lumber Company. Big Dan Ford. Bad Glenn Adams. Craig Mongo Cusick. Butch, love that kid.
Hey, guys, these balls cost $3.50. Don't lose so many of them.
The Lumber Company is still in business.
One more glorious moment for a great veteran, and this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Grubb bats for Brookins, and on deck is Noakes to bat for Heath, and then Whitaker in the top of the ninth. Reardon's got a 3-run cushion.
The sign of a good relief pitcher, in fact a great one at times, and Jeff Reardon. First pitch strike. Make them hit themselves on.
Reardon would have preferred to save this. Instead, Viola isn't going to be involved in the decision, and Reardon could be the winner. Two and one.
Right behind home plate, the gun is there. The radar gun, the speed gun. They use the slow gun here, and even on the slow gun this year at times, because Reardon's been fresh, he is up around 90 miles an hour. If you're using the fast gun like they've got in St. Louis, it might register 3 to 5 miles an hour faster.
Well, he started him with a strike, but then misses with 3. That looks like a hit. Brunansky won't get to it. So Grubb battled him. And on the third 3-2 pitch, he lines a single to right.
So Sparky putting in Matt Noakes into the game now off a sensational rookie year.
Noakes hit 32 home runs. And Sparky acknowledges that had they re-signed Parrish, there's no way Noakes would have even been on the roster. He would have been a Toledo mud hen.
Herbeck's going to cut the gap down. No sense holding a slower runner down up in age. Not with this score. Looks like Sparky flashed the sign to take 1 strike. Look at the run production Sparky's gotten from those 2 catchers. They thought they'd never replace Lance Parrish.
A ball and a strike with Whitaker on deck. If Noakes can reach, Lou becomes the tying run, and he has some power. 16 homers. 1-2.
What a wicked curveball in a great spot. Noakes looking fastball. In and down near the ankles.
They said this series lacked marquee, especially from the Twins side. This has been an exhilarating opener. On the outside corner, and Noakes is finished.
Could he have made 2 more perfect breaking ball pitches? One down and in, that Noakes question off Joe Brinkman. Then he backdoored him, started outside, and he threw it right where Laudner wanted it. And Joe Brinkman expands the strike zone just a little bit and punches Matt Noakes out.
Whitaker. Madlock next, and if they can prolong it beyond him, Sparky would love to see Gibson get another swing.
Jeff Reardon makes the whole team feel better, doesn't he? The defense, the starting pitchers, the manager especially.
They were swept in the first 2 American League playoffs by Earl Weaver's mighty Orioles, 69 and 70. Viola told us yesterday, I began to feel good about this ball club, which had been a perennial loser, after A, they hired Kelly. He was the player's choice. Others had been mentioned, Fry, Altobelli, and then when they got Reardon. He goes to 3-1. Not only did that not tell Viola and the other starters that they didn't have to pace themselves anymore, that Reardon was there to pick them up. But it told them, oh, Whitaker thought he had the walk, and now the count is full, and Brinkman's strike zone is expanding by the moment. The acquisition of Reardon told the Twins that the organization was serious about trying to win. And now the tying run's going to come to the plate in the person of Bill Madlock, who's overdue. He had a woeful night against Viola. Struck out twice, popped out, and hit a comebacker with the bases loaded to end the seventh.
And the one thing Lauder, I believe, and Reardon are talking about, going over the scouting report on Madlock, saying what the situation is, and I'm sure somewhere in there they're saying one thing we do not want to do is hang a breaking ball to Bill Madlock. Make him hit your good fastball. If you're going to show him a curveball, make sure it's down or out of the strike zone. They've been jamming it.
Unless Madlock hits into a double play, they're going to have to face Gibson, who homered earlier in this game and hit 24 during the season.
And with Madlock being the tying run, Gaetti's right on the line. He's not going to get, that's what Tom Kelly was doing, saying, get back, guard the line. No doubles here.
0-2. Hat trick for Madlock. He fans 3 times. Reardon and Gibson.
It was in Lauder's glove.
0-2.
Gibson way over anxious. Reardon saying, you want to swing it, I'll go up the ladder on you even higher.
Reardon a pitch away from finishing with a flourish. He could strike out the side with a hit and a walk tossed in. 8-5 Twins, top of the ninth. Minnesota wins it.
Miller Lite player of the game is Gary Gaetti with 2 homers, a walk, 3 runs scored. Miller Lite is happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Gary Gaetti to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Down on the field with 2 of the heroes, Gaetti and Don Baylor. Here's Marv Albert.
All right, Bob, and of course Don Baylor has been through this kind of pressure situation many times. You've had a host of big hits. Where does this one rank?
That has to rank at the very top because of the situation. 8th inning, bases loaded. You know, you can't hit into a double play. So I was concentrating very good at the time, and Hernandez gave me a pitch that I could hit. I missed probably a grand slam on the ball I fouled back.
All right, Don Baylor coming through with the game-winning hit. Gary Gaetti has done it for Minnesota with the glove. glove and the bat throughout the season. Garrett Burt, Doyle Alexander, a man who has not given up the home run ball. You surprised you able to wrap too often?
I was surprised to get the pitches I got to hit. They were a little up for his zone, more like my zone than his zone. They weren't his pitches, but I had to capitalize on the mistake.
All right, Don Sutton, who is working the championship series with us, said you're the type of guy, and he's had first-hand experience, that will wait and wait for the proper pitch. Were you waiting for it?
Well, I just wanted to get a good one up in the zone because he's a sinker ball, low ball pitcher, and I'm just looking for the ball, and he threw it up there. I just reacted. That's all. I do what I normally do. Swing hard in case I hit it.
Don, there are many Minnesota Twins who felt that this was a must game tonight, particularly in sending a message to the Tigers that, yes, the Metrodome is a very difficult place to play. In fact, the Tigers won 4 of 6 during the regular season against Minnesota. Was it a must game for you fellas?
There's no doubt. I'd like to get that first game put away, tucked in the W column, and Viola pitched an outstanding game. So did Alexander, but it was a very good win for us. We have Blyleven going tomorrow, and that's a must-win for them.
You've had much success in the past, but in light of the experience with the Red Sox last season, is this a second chance for Don Baylor?
Well, it's the second coming when I'm called on now to get a pinch hit in clutch situations sometimes, and to hit off a left-hander, so I'm ready for the challenge.
All right, Don Baylor with a game-winning RBI, Gary Gaetti with 2 home runs. Let's get back to the booth for Bob and Tony.
All right, Marvin, there were other heroes. Reardon got the win. Viola not involved in the decision, but pitched very well. Kirby Puckett a game-tying double in the 8th before Baylor's winning hit. And Tom Brunansky had 2 doubles and 3 RBIs for the Twins. The 1987 American League Championship Series has been brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft, cold-filtered draft beer. It's as real as it gets. By your Toyota dealer, quality right down the line. Who could ask for anything more? By the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. No matter how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. And by Allstate for home, auto, and life insurance. You're in good hands with Allstate. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer of NBC's baseball coverage is Harry Coyle. Tonight's game was produced by Ricky Diamond and directed by John Gonzalez. Pregame produced by David Neal. Pregame directed by Bob Levy. Don't forget, stay tuned for your local news, followed by The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, and then Late Night with David Letterman, except, of course, on the West Coast, where those programs will be seen at their regular time. Join us tomorrow night for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. Until then, for Tony Kubek and our stat man up in the booth, Steve Horn, I'm Bob Costas. Tomorrow night, it'll be Jack Morris going against Bert Blyleven. Here's Gladden coming home with the game-tying run. They tacked on 3 after that. And for all the doubters, the Twins are very much for real. Good night, everybody.